Chapter 2642. Zhang Qiu. Accompanying the furious roar was an old, ghost-like figure. Moreover, the old figure brought a young man with him. In the blink of an eye, they had barged into Zhang Qiu's courtyard without Zhang Qiu's permission. Whoosh! Whoosh! An old man and a young man appeared in front of Zhang Qiu and Duan Lingtian almost at the same time. Duan Lingtian was familiar with the young man who was brought in by the old man. It was Zhou Fei whom he had severely injured half a year ago. As for the old man, Zhou Tong, Duan Lingtian's eyes landed on the old man. He noticed that the old man looked ordinary and did not seem like an evil person. However, at this moment, his eyes and face were filled with anger. After Zhang Qiu's reminder, Duan Lingtian realized this. The old man in front of him was the first revered elder of the county governor's mansion, Zhou Tong. Duan Lingtian. When Zhou Fei was brought here by Zhou Tong, he immediately noticed Duan Lingtian. He glared at Duan Lingtian furiously. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. He looked like a venomous snake that could not wait to bite and poison Duan Lingtian to death. Duan Lingtian? Zhou Tong, who had been looking at Zhang Qiu the moment he appeared, shifted his gaze from Zhang Qiu to Duan Lingtian when he heard Zhou Fei's angry shout. "You're Duan Lingtian?" Zhou Tong's gloomy expression darkened further. "Elder Zhang Qiu, who is this?" Duan Lingtian turned a blind eye to Zhou Fei and Zhou Tong's hostile gazes. He asked Zhang Qiu, who was standing next to him, even though he already knew the answer. "He's revered Elder Zhou Tong, Zhou Fei's godfather." Zhang Qiu replied. "So it's revered Elder Zhou Tong." Duan Lingtian finally understood. Soon after, his gaze once again turned towards Zhou Tong. Sizing him up, he was very interested in Lu Fenggu, the city lord of Bloody Spectre City, who was the #1 revered elder of the county governor's estate. "Duan Lingtian, now that you've become my direct disciple, the matter of you heavily injuring Fei half a year ago has been written off. From now on, the matter between you and Fei is written off. At that time, you and Fei will no longer be enemies, but fellow disciples." Suddenly, the gloomy expression on Zhou Tong's face disappeared without any warning and was replaced by a faint smile. The moment he opened his mouth, he directly stated that he wanted to take Duan Lingtian as his personal disciple. He also promised that if Duan Lingtian became his disciple, he would no longer make things difficult for Duan Lingtian, and Zhou Fei would no longer make things difficult for Duan Lingtian. Almost at the same time, Zhou Tong's voice fell. An expression of, as expected, appeared on Zhang Qiu's face. It was clear he had already guessed this would happen. Duan Lingtian's expression remained calm, but inwardly, he felt even more disgusted with Zhou Tong. As expected, Zhou Tong was not much different from the rumors. Godfather. Unlike Duan Lingtian and Zhang Qiu, Zhou Fei's expression changed drastically when he heard Zhou Tong's promise to Duan Lingtian. At the same time, he became anxious. The thing he was worried about the most had happened. "Shut up." Zhou Tong, who was waiting for Duan Lingtian's reply, turned to glare at Zhou Fei when he heard Zhou Fei's voice. Zhou Fei was so frightened that he did not even dare to breathe loudly, let alone speak. Revered Elder Zhou Tong. Under Zhou Tong's slightly expectant gaze, Duan Lingtian had a calm expression as he said in an indifferent tone, "First of all, thank you for your kindness. Secondly, I already have a master. So, I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint revered Elder Zhou Tong." Duan Lingtian directly rejected Zhou Tong's offer. "You can come under my tutelage." Zhou Tong narrowed his eyes as a cold light flashed across them. He raised his voice and spoke in an overbearing manner. "Impossible." Duan Lingtian shook his head. "I won't betray my master." Duan Lingtian, it's your blessing that my godfather has taken a fancy to you. Don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Just as Zhou Tong's expression darkened again and became incomparably ugly, Zhou Fei, whose eyes flashed with joy, pretended to be angry as he looked at Duan Lingtian and coldly shouted. His words sounded more like he was standing up for his godfather. Duan Lingtian. Zhou Tong's eyes gleamed coldly as he stared at Duan Lingtian and said, "Don't think that it's over just because Zhang Qiu took the blame for what happened 6 months ago. Let me tell you, even Zhang Qiu can't protect himself today, let alone you." Zhou Tong's tone became heavier when he reached the end of his sentence. Elder Zheng Qiu can't protect himself? Upon hearing Zhou Tong's words, Duan Lingtian instinctively turned to look at Zheng Qiu, who was next to him. He saw Zheng Qiu standing at the side calmly. His expression did not change at all because of Zhou Tong's words. Humph. Following Duan Lingtian's gaze, Zhou Tong also noticed Zheng Qiu's calmness. He was instantly enraged as he shouted, "Zheng Qiu, don't you think you owe me an explanation for taking the blame for this Duan Lingtian 6 months ago? If you don't give me an explanation, you should know what I'm capable of." A hint of killing intent flashed in Zhou Tong's eyes as he spoke. "Elder Zhou Tong, you shouldn't ask me for an explanation for this matter. After all, I was only following orders," Zheng Qiu said indifferently. Zhou Tong frowned. "Whose orders?" Zhou Tong asked sternly. However, he seemed to have forgotten about it. In the county governor's estate, the only other person who could order Zheng Qiu around was the county governor of Nine Spectres County. "My orders." Just as Zhou Tong's body was emitting waves of killing intent, as if he could directly attack and kill Zheng Qiu at any moment, an indifferent voice suddenly rang out. It seemed to have come from all directions, making it difficult for one to determine the source of the voice. Whoosh! A moment later, as if a gust of wind had blown past, another figure appeared in the courtyard where Zheng Qiu lived. Duan Lingtian narrowed his eyes and looked at the figure. The figure that seemed to have appeared out of thin air in the courtyard was a tall, middle-aged man wearing a silver robe embroidered with a silver dragon. He had a square face and a determined expression. He had thick eyebrows and big eyes. His body emitted waves of majestic aura. "So this is Tian Jiyu, the county governor of Nine Spectres County?" At this moment, Duan Lingtian finally figured out the middle-aged man's identity. "Lord County Governor." As soon as the middle-aged man appeared, Zhang Qiu hurriedly bowed respectfully to him. Even Zhou Fei, who was standing behind Zhou Tong, bowed respectfully in a somewhat panicked manner. Only Duan Lingtian and Zhou Tong did not move at all. Duan Lingtian. Right at this moment, Zhou Tong abruptly glared at Duan Lingtian and shouted coldly, "You actually dare to not greet the county governor when you see him? Are you looking down on the county governor? Do you know you've committed the crime of being disrespectful to the county governor?" "Revered Elder Zhou Tong, you didn't greet him as well, right?" Duan Lingtian asked as he looked at Zhou Tong indifferently. "Humph." Zhou Tong snorted coldly and raised his arrogant head. "Lord Prefectural Governor said many years ago that I don't need to bow when I see him. How can a brat like you who is still wet behind the ears be compared to me? When I, Zhou Tong, made great contributions to the county governor's estate and Nine Spectres County, you weren't even born yet. Duan Lingtian, how dare you disrespect the county governor? As the first revered elder of the county governor's estate, it's my duty to punish you." As soon as Zhou Tong finished speaking, his celestial origin energy surged out of his body. His right arm trembled as he lashed out at Duan Lingtian like a ferocious python. His palm seemed to carry the force of 1,000 caddies as it shot toward Duan Lingtian. Zhou Tong's palm contained the profundity of a celestial method and divine ability. It was as powerful as 1,000 caddies of lightning. It did not seem like it was meant to punish Duan Lingtian, but it seemed more like it was meant to kill Duan Lingtian. When Zhou Tong's palm shot toward Duan Lingtian, killing intent flashed in his eyes. Swoosh! It did not cross Duan Lingtian's mind that Zhou Tong would try to kill him. His expression changed completely, and his eyes gleamed coldly. The temperature seemed to have dropped a few degrees as far as his eyes could see. Duan Lingtian was about to circulate his celestial origin energy to block Zhou Tong's palm that was filled with killing intent. Humph! Accompanied by an earth-shaking cold snort, a dragon-like power whizzed over from the side. In the blink of an eye, it blocked Zhou Tong's thunder-like palm. Bang! The dragon-like power collided with the power of Zhou Tong's palm, creating an earth-shattering explosion. A small mushroom cloud blossomed. The rolling chi waves slammed into the air, creating gusts of wind. After Zhou Tong's palm was blocked, he did not attack again because he did not dare to. The person who had blocked his attack was none other than Tian Jiyu, the county governor of Nine Spectres County, who had not made a sound since he had appeared. "Lord County Governor?" Zhou Tong looked at Tianjiyu with a hint of fear in his eyes. He did not expect the county governor of Nine Spectres County would make a move against him for the sake of a young powerhouse that they had recently recruited. He originally thought that his palm strike would be able to kill Duanling Tian, who refused to become his disciple, to avenge his adopted son, and to vent his anger for himself. He did not expect Tianjiyu would make a move against him. Revered Elder Zhou Tong. Tianjiyu, the county governor of Nine Spectres County, finally spoke. He looked at Zhou Tong and said indifferently, 6 months ago, I was the one who ordered Elder Zheng Qiu to take the blame. What? Do you have a problem with that? Tianjiyu asked. Chapter 26:43. Over the past 6 months, Tianjiyu had not been idle. He had spent a lot of effort and sent people to investigate the background of the Golden Immortals who were younger than 100 years old in the other 15 counties under King Qin's mansion. After some investigation, he found out, with the strength of Zhou Fei, the adopted son of Zhou Tong, the first revered elder of the prefectural governor's mansion, it would be difficult for him to enter the top 10 of the martial competition of the 16 counties, let alone enter the top 3. At that time, he couldn't help but rejoice. Fortunately, the Nine Spectres County had Duanling Tian. Otherwise, the other Golden Immortals under 100 years of age that the prefectural governor's mansion had recruited, including Zhou Fei, would not have been able to enter the top 3 of the martial competition of 16 counties. Among the 450 Golden Celestials under the age of 100 from the 15 counties, there are at least 5 people who can defeat Zhou Fei in a single blow. Even if the county governor's mansion spares no effort in grooming Zhou Fei in the remaining 2.5 years, he'll only be able to enter the top 10 of the martial competition of the 16 counties at most. However, if we can't enter the top 3, we won't be able to obtain the mediocre celestial pill, the great overarching pill. Tianjiyu also realized this when he found out about the young experts who were below the age of 100 from the other 15 counties under King Qin's mansion. It was also because of this that Duanling Tian's value and status in his eyes became even higher. Without Duanling Tian, Nine Spectres County would not be able to enter the top 3 of the martial competition of the 16 counties and obtain the mediocre grade celestial pill, the Great Luo Pill. That was not what he wanted to see. Half a year ago, I was the one who ordered Elder Zheng Qiu to take the blame. What? Do you have a problem with that? Zhou Tong and Zhou Fei were stunned when they heard Tianjiyu's words. At this moment, Zhou Tong recalled something. Earlier, Zheng Qiu had indeed said that the reason he took the blame for Duanling Tian half a year ago was because he was following orders. However, he did not think of the county governor of Nine Spectres County at that time. Now that he thought about it, the only other person in Nine Spectres County who could order Zheng Qiu around was the county governor of Nine Spectres County. Lord County Governor, why are you doing this? Zhou Tong looked at Tianjiyu and asked in a deep voice. As a great overarching golden celestial, Duanling Tian was free to speak his mind in front of Tianjiyu, the county governor of Nine Spectres County. Even if Nine Spectres County could not accept him, the other counties would welcome him. Half a year ago, the envoy from the King Qin's mansion came to the Nine Spectres County to look for me. In the face of Zhou Tong's question, Tianjiyu immediately stated the reason in a forthright manner. He started from the arrival of the Duke of Qin's envoy. Finally, he talked about the investigation he had conducted over the past 6 months. He had been searching for young golden immortals under the age of 100 in the other 15 counties under King Qin's mansion. Tianjiyu said these words directly in front of Duanling Tian and Zhou Fei, the 2 parties involved, without any taboo. I see. Zhou Fei's eyes were filled with unwillingness. However, he knew that no matter how unwilling he was, he could not change anything. The mediocre celestial pill, the great overarching pill? After listening to Tianjiyu's words, Zhou Tong's eyes suddenly lit up and his breathing became rapid. One could vaguely see his chest twitching like a bellows due to his excitement. Yes. Tianjiyu nodded, confirming with Zhou Tong. As the light in Zhou Tong's eyes grew brighter, Tianjiyu said in a timely manner, Elder Zhou Tong, if you're willing to work with me in the county governor's mansion to help Duanling Tian achieve great results in the martial competition of the 16 counties in 2.5 years, if Duanling Tian can rank in the top 2 of the competition, I'm willing to give you a great luo pill. I'll give you a great luo pill. Once Tianji Yu's words came out, Zhou Tong's breathing became even more rapid. One could vaguely see the waves of excitement on his face. Although Zenith Heaven Golden Immortals were not divided into 7 levels like Celestial Immortals and Golden Immortals, they were still Zenith Heaven Golden Immortals. However, there were also 5 levels. They were Yellow Rank Great Luo Golden Celestial, Black Rank Great Luo Golden Celestial, Earth Rank Great Luo Golden Celestial, Heaven Rank Great Luo Golden Celestial, and Peak Great Luo Golden Celestial. Among them, Yellow Rank Great Luo Golden Celestial was the weakest while Peak Great Luo Golden Celestial was the strongest. As a Yellow Rank Great Luo Golden Celestial who was half a step away from becoming a Black Rank Great Luo Golden Celestial, Zhou Tong had been stuck at this bottleneck for many years. If he could obtain a mediocre celestial pill, the Great Luo Pill, he would be able to easily become a Black Rank Great Luo Golden Celestial. At that time, his strength would be further enhanced. Lord County Governor, I'm willing to work with you and the County Governor's Mansion to help Duan Lingtian achieve great results in the martial competition of the 16 counties in 2.5 years. After regaining his senses, Zhou Tong immediately made his stance clear. There was no deep enmity between him and Duan Lingtian, to begin with. Now that Duan Lingtian was likely to obtain a mediocre celestial pill, the Great Luo Pill, for him, Duan Lingtian's value skyrocketed. In fact, Duan Lingtian's position in his heart had even surpassed his foster son, Zhou Fei. Foster father. Zhou Fei panicked when he heard Zhou Tong's words. Initially, he had planned to surpass Duan Lingtian's strength with the help of his foster father. However, his foster father, Zhou Tong, had turned to help his rival, Duan Lingtian. How could he not be anxious? Slap. However, as soon as Zhou Fei cried out, Zhou Tong gave him a backhand slap. Then, he glared at Zhou Fei and said angrily, "How dare you shout in front of the Lord County Governor? If you dare to shout in front of the Lord County Governor again, don't blame me for putting righteousness before family." Zhou Fei felt so wrong that he was on the verge of tears after being slapped for no reason. However, he could only glare at Duan Lingtian and did not dare to make a sound. Duan Lingtian ignored Zhou Fei's glare. At this moment, Duan Lingtian's gaze landed on Zhou Tong. Zhou Tong's gaze was no longer filled with killing intent like before. Instead, it was filled with kindness. Zhou Tong was not used to this. This Zhou Tong really won't do anything without benefits. Just because the county governor of 9 Spectres County promised to give him a mediocre celestial pill, the Great Luo Pill, he's trying his best to nurture me so that I'll be able to enter the top 2 in the martial competition of the 16 counties in 2.5 years. At this moment, Duan Lingtian finally saw through Zhou Tong. He would not do anything without benefits. With the arrival of Tianji Yu, the county governor of 9 Spectres County, the matter came to an end. Zhou Tong bade farewell to Tianji Yu. Before he left with Zhou Fei, he looked at Duan Lingtian kindly and said with a smile, "Duan Lingtian, if you need any help in the future, feel free to look for me. Here are 2 bottles of spirit-nourishing pills." As soon as Zhou Tong finished speaking, he handed 2 bottles of pills to Duan Lingtian. Zhou Fei's eyes turned red when he saw the bottles of pills that Zhou Tong handed to him. His foster father had never been so generous to him before. "Thank you, revered Elder Zhou Tong." Duan Lingtian's eyes lit up when he saw the 2 bottles of spirit-nourishing pills that Zhou Tong handed to him. He did not hesitate to accept them. He knew very well. If it was not for the fact that he was useful to Zhou Tong would not have treated him so well. Not only would Zhou Tong not treat him well, but Zhou Tong would also want to kill him. After Zhou Tong and Zhou Fei left, Tianji Yu looked at Duan Lingtian with a smile on his face and handed a bottle of pills to him. "Duan Lingtian, since Elder Zhou Tong has given you 2 bottles of spirit-nourishing pills, I'm sure you won't be lacking spirit-nourishing pills for the time being. The pills in this bottle are primitive hidden spirit pills. It's a primitive celestial pill that can be absorbed along with the spirit-nourishing pills. Its effect is slightly stronger than the spirit-nourishing pills." Tianji Yu handed the bottle of pills to Duan Lingtian. Hidden spirit pills? Duan Lingtian could not help but gasp when he heard Tianji Yu's words. The hidden spirit pill was a primitive celestial pill that could increase one's cultivation speed. Its effect was even stronger than the spirit-nourishing pills. However, compared to the spirit-nourishing pills, it was much more valuable. Most importantly, the hidden spirit pill could be consumed together with the spirit-nourishing pills. Moreover, their effects could overlap. If one consumed the spirit-nourishing pills and hidden spirit pills at the same time, one's cultivation speed would be much faster than if one consumed the spirit-nourishing pills alone. Thank you, County Governor. Duan Lingtian was excited when he received the spirit-nourishing pills from Zhou Tong earlier. Now that he received the hidden spirit pills from the County Governor of 9 Spectres County, he was even more excited. Now, you should know that the reason I took care of you and helped you resolve the matter half a year ago is because I think you'll be able to rank in the top 3 in the martial competition of the 16 counties in 2.5 years. Tianji, you looked at Duan Lingtian and said bluntly, if you can rank in the top 3 in 2.5 years, not only will you be able to obtain the mediocre celestial pill, the great overarching pill for 9 Spectres County, but you'll also be rewarded handsomely by King Qin's mansion. Of course, if you can rank in the top 3 in 2.5 years, I won't mistreat you. Tianji, you said. I'll do my best. Duan Lingtian nodded his head. Tianji Yu's magnanimity made him have a better impression of the county governor of 9 Spectres County. He knew Tianji Yu was only treating him so well because he was useful to him. Duan Lingtian, after Zhou Fei returned to the second-last stone chamber in the depths of the latent dragon abyss, his originally calm face was contorted in an instant. He looked exceptionally ferocious. Where did that Duan Lingtian come from? If it weren't for him, Lord County Governor and Godfather would have spared no effort in cultivating me so that I can rank in the top 3 in the martial competition of the 16 counties held by King Qin's mansion. At this moment, Zhou Fei's heart was in turmoil. In his opinion. Chapter 26:44. After obtaining a bottle of hidden spirit pills from Tianji Yu, the county governor of 9 Spectres County, and 2 bottles of spirit-accumulating pills from Zhou Tong, the first revered elder of the county governor's mansion, Duan Lingtian returned to cultivating. Now, the 2 great overarching golden celestials in 9 Spectres County wanted him to improve his cultivation base as soon as possible. He wanted to improve his cultivation base as soon as possible as well. It could be said that they were in agreement. Of course, Duan Lingtian knew very well that Duan Lingtian and Zhou Tong were the first revered elders. Tianji Yu, Zhou Tong, and him were just taking what they wanted. The martial competition of the 16 counties. King Qin's mansion will reward the mediocre celestial pills, the great overarching pills, to those who rank in the top 3. I wonder what kind of reward King Qin's mansion will give to those who rank in the top 3. After returning to the stone chamber in the deepest part of the latent dragon abyss, Duan Lingtian was very curious about this matter. Although he was curious, he was also looking forward to it. Duan Lingtian consumed the primitive celestial pill, the hidden spirit pill, and immersed himself in cultivating. Whoosh! The sound of wind whistling rang in the air as a person walked out of the stone chamber on the second to last level of the latent dragon abyss. After leaving the latent dragon abyss, he went straight to one of the courtyards in the county governor's mansion. This person was none other than Zhou Fei. After leaving the latent dragon abyss, Zhou Fei immediately went to look for his foster father, Zhou Tong, the first revered elder of the county governor's mansion in 9 Spectres County. Foster father. Zhou Fei bowed respectfully when he saw Zhou Tong again. What's the matter? Zhou Tong raised his eyelids slightly and looked at Zhou Fei lazily. Compared to before, his current attitude towards Zhou Fei had imperceptibly changed quite a bit. In the past, he had taken Zhou Fei as his foster son because of Zhou Fei's innate talent. However, Zhou Fei's innate talent paled in comparison to Duan Lingtian, who came from Bloody Spectre City. Therefore, he was disappointed in his foster son and was no longer as enthusiastic about him as before. Zhou Fei also felt this. Duan Lingtian. Because of this, Zhou Fei now hated Duan Lingtian so much that he gnashed his teeth. Foster father, I want to go out for a while. I want to ask you to send one of the inner mansion elders out with me. Although he hated Duan Lingtian so much that he was gnashing his teeth, Zhou Fei did not dare to show it. That was because he knew that Duan Lingtian's position in his foster father's eyes was already higher than his foster son's. Where do you want to go? Zhou Tong's eyes flashed as he asked, I don't know yet. I just want to go out and gain experience. Zhou Fei said. Now, even Zhou Fei's position in Zhou Tong's eyes was not as high as Duan Lingtian's. However, Zhou Fei was still Zhou Tong's adopted son. Therefore, Zhou Tong did not refuse Zhou Fei's request. Very soon, he gave the order for an inner mansion elder of the county governor's mansion to accompany Zhou Fei and protect him. After Zhou Fei and the inner estate elder left the county city of Nine Spectres County, they seemed to be heading in the direction of Bloody Spectre City, one of the 9 cities in Nine Spectres County. Bloody Spectre City was the first place Duan Lingtian went to after he ascended to the spirit overarching heaven. I'd like to see Duan Lingtian's background. I've never heard of such a person in Nine Spectres County. Zhou Fei wanted to investigate Duan Lingtian's background. He had a feeling that with Duan Lingtian's innate talent and strength, he would not be an ordinary person in Bloody Spectre City. It was impossible for him to be an unknown person before he entered the county city of Nine Spectres County. This Duan Lingtian might be someone Lu Fenggu, the city governor of Bloody Spectre City, has secretly trained to deal with my foster father. If I can confirm this, with my foster father's character, he'll definitely kill Duan Lingtian. This was the reason Zhou Fei had come to Bloody Spectre City. He knew about the enmity between Lu Fenggu, the city governor of Bloody Spectre City, and his foster father. As long as he could confirm that Duan Lingtian was secretly nurtured by Lu Fenggu to deal with his foster father would not let such a potential threat go unpunished. Moreover, he would not allow Duan Lingtian to continue growing stronger. If I can confirm that Duan Lingtian is someone Lu Fenggu has trained to deal with my foster father, even if the mediocre celestial pill, the great overarching pill, is very tempting to my foster father will definitely kill Duan Lingtian before the martial competition of the 16 counties begins. After all, based on the rewards set by King Qin's mansion for the participants of the martial competition of the 16 counties, it seems like King Qin's mansion places a lot of importance on this competition. If Duan Lingtian manages to make it into the top 3, King Qin's mansion will probably keep him in King Qin's mansion. When that time comes, even if foster father wants to kill him and eliminate him by the roots, it will be harder than ascending to heaven. Zhou Fei's eyes lit up when he thought about this. In a place far away from Nine Spectres County, in a vast area that was surrounded by clouds all year round, lush with lush greenery, birdsong, and the fragrance of flowers. It was like a fairyland. On the peak of one of the mountains, there stood an elegant woman who looked like a fairy. The lady stood on the peak as she looked in the direction of Nine Spectres County. Her eyes seemed to be in a daze. The lady was dressed in a light purple dress. Her eyebrows were like emerald feathers, her skin was as fair as snow, and her waist was slim. Although half of her face was covered by a thin veil, her pair of clear and cold autumn eyes, as well as her elegant and refined temperament, were enough to make everything around her pale in comparison. Apart from that, her face was partially covered by the veil. However, due to the veil, one could vaguely see the outline of her face, and one could vaguely see the perfect curve of her face. People couldn't help but have the impulse to lift the veil and look at the beautiful face under it. One could imagine how charming she was even with a veil on her face. If she were to remove the veil, how devastatingly beautiful would her cheeks be without the veil restraining them? If I knew I would have a heart demon because of him, I would have killed him that day. The lady's red lips parted slightly as she muttered to herself. However, when she reached the end of her sentence, she seemed to lack confidence. If she could do it all over again, would she really kill him? Even she herself wasn't sure of it. After all, she was the one at fault, not him. Third senior sister. Suddenly, a pleasant voice like that of a silver bell rang out. A young lady in green clothes stepped on the air from below the mountain peak. She seemed to have transformed into a green ray of light. In the blink of an eye, she had already arrived beside the purple-dressed lady. Liu Luo, why are you here? The lady in purple looked at the green-clad young girl with a doting expression on her face. Third senior sister, why do I feel like you've been in a bad mood ever since you returned a year ago? Didn't you help the sect find the celestial weapon, the world-cleansing horsetail whisk? Isn't that something to be happy about? Master, senior uncles, and junior uncles have been praising you. The green-clad young girl blinked her bright eyes as she asked. Upon hearing the green-clad young girl's words, it was obvious who the purple-clad young girl was. She was none other than Morong Bing, the lady whom Duan Lingtian had met in the little world left behind by the celestial king of the blissful sect in the mountains south of Bloody Spectre City. At that time, although they were not husband and wife in name, they were in fact husband and wife. Also, I just heard Martial Aunt say that in a month's sect meeting, she will appoint you as the successor of the sect master. After she abdicates, she will pass the position of sect master to you. The green-clad young girl continued to say, Senior uncles, did she really say that? Morong Bing asked with a glint in her eyes. Yes, I heard it with my own ears. The green-clad young girl nodded like a chick pecking at rice. Upon hearing the green-clad young girl's words, Morong Bing could not help but sigh inwardly. According to the rules of the compassionate celestial traveler sect, apart from one's innate talent and strength, there was another basic requirement to become the sect leader. She had to be a virgin. As for Morong Bing, she was no longer a virgin ever, since she came out of the little world left behind by the celestial king of the blissful sect a year ago. In other words, she was not destined to be the sect leader of the compassionate celestial traveler sect. Liu Luo, where's senior uncles now? After learning the whereabouts of the sect leader of the compassionate celestial traveler sect from the green-clad young girl, Morong Bing's purple dress fluttered in the wind. In just a blink of an eye, she left the mountain. Senior uncles. Morong Bing met the sect leader of the compassionate celestial traveler sect, who was also her senior uncles, in a spacious courtyard halfway up the mountain. Binger, why are you looking for senior uncles? The sect leader of the compassionate celestial traveler sect was a beautiful woman. She was dressed in a white robe with many lotuses embroidered on it. When she saw Morong Bing, a gentle expression could be seen on her face. It was as though she was a senior looking at her most outstanding junior. Although Morong Bing was not her direct disciple, she was the direct disciple of her junior sister who shared the same master as her. Morong Bing was also the disciple she was most satisfied with in the compassionate celestial traveler sect. Otherwise, she would not have made Morong Bing the successor of the sect leader of the compassionate celestial traveler sect. Morong Bing was the successor of the sect leader of the compassionate celestial traveler sect. Senior uncles, I heard that you're going to appoint me as the successor of the sect leader in a month's time. I'm here to ask you to rescind your decision. Morong Bing said bluntly. Huh. The sect leader of the compassionate celestial traveler sect was stunned when she heard Morong Bing's words. Then, she asked in confusion, Binger, what do you mean? Don't you want to be the next sect leader of the compassionate celestial traveler sect? Chapter 26:45. Morong Bing fell silent when she heard the sect leader of the compassionate celestial traveler sect's question. Binger, there's something on your mind? The sect leader of the compassionate celestial traveler sect stared at Morong Bing's eyes and said solemnly, Senior Aunt. Morong Bing took a deep breath. Her beautiful cheeks trembled slightly under the veil. Then, she said softly, Ever since I was young, although I am not your disciple in my heart, I have always treated you as my second master. Moreover, there are things I didn't dare to say to my master in the past, but I've always shared them with you. In my heart, you're no different from my mother. Morong Bing's voice was tinged with emotion when she spoke. Binger, did something happen to you? The sect leader of the compassionate celestial traveler sect's expression changed drastically. Her eyes were filled with worry when she looked at Morong Bing again. She could tell something was amiss from Morong Bing's tone. Morong Bing had a secret that very few people knew about. She knew this secret. The Morong Bing in front of her was her twin sister's daughter. She was her niece. Her twin sister had fallen in love with a bad man and had committed suicide, leaving Morong Bing as her daughter. At that time, she was already the successor of the sect leader of the compassionate celestial traveler sect. To avoid gossip, it was inconvenient for her to bring Morong Bing back to the compassionate celestial traveler sect. In the end, she had placed Morong Bing in swaddling clothes at the entrance of the courtyard where one of her junior sisters lived. Murong Bing's junior sister was Murong Bing's master. Whether it was her junior sister or Murong Bing herself, no one knew about this secret. Senior aunt, Murong Bing wanted to say something, but when she opened her mouth, she found it difficult to speak. After all, it was related to her innocence. She was not worried about gossip. After all, she had always been indifferent. Even if people gossiped about her, she did not care. However, even if she did not care about gossip, it did not mean her master did not care about gossip as well. She could imagine her master's disappointment. If her master found out about this, she would definitely be disappointed since her master had been grooming her as the future sect leader of the compassionate celestial traveler sect since she was young. Now that she had lost her virginity, she was destined to lose her chance to become the sect leader of the compassionate celestial traveler sect. Binger, do we still need to worry so much between us? Don't worry. No matter what difficulties you encounter, I will help you. If you don't want your master to know, I won't tell her either. When the sect leader of the compassionate celestial traveler sect saw Murong Bing's hesitation, she quickly gave her a heads up. Martial uncle, I am no longer a virgin. The sect leader of the compassionate celestial traveler sect had a worried expression on her face, so she did not hesitate any longer. Whoosh! As soon as Murong Bing finished speaking, the expression of the sect leader of the compassionate celestial traveler sect changed drastically. Who did it? The sect leader of the compassionate celestial traveler sect and Murong Bing looked at each other with killing intent flashing in their eyes. Naturally, the killing intent was not directed at Murong Bing. It was directed at the man who had caused her to lose her virginity. In the compassionate celestial traveler sect, once a person lost their virginity, they would lose their chance to become the sect leader. Even though she was the sect leader of the compassionate celestial traveler sect, she could not ignore this rule. After all, the successor of the sect leader of the compassionate celestial traveler sect had to be tested by the elders before she could become the sect leader of the compassionate celestial traveler sect. If one was not a virgin, one would not be able to become the sect leader of the compassionate celestial traveler sect. The compassionate celestial traveler sect was a purely female sect. Although they did not interfere with the private lives of the women in the sect, they did not allow the women to involve themselves in the affairs of the sect. This was especially true for the sect leader. The sect leader had to be a virgin. When the sect leader of the compassionate celestial traveler sect set this rule, she felt that if a woman had a husband, she would not be able to devote herself to the compassionate celestial traveler sect. If that happened, the compassionate celestial traveler sect would be destroyed as time passed. It was an accident. Murong Bing sighed. The purple figure appeared in her mind again. She couldn't get rid of it. It was this purple figure that had caused her to develop an inner demon during her cultivation, causing her to almost suffer from chi deviation many times. Even if it was an accident, you still have to tell me what happened, right? The sect leader of the compassionate celestial traveler sect asked solemnly. Murong Bing nodded. Then, she told the sect leader of the compassionate celestial traveler sect everything that had happened a year ago. Naturally, she did not mention the man's name. After all, she knew that if she did, the man would definitely die. As it turns out, the compassionate celestial traveler sect guarding celestial weapon, the world-cleansing horsetail whisk. Binger, the sect has implicated you. The sect leader of the compassionate celestial traveler sect said, I was too careless. If I didn't destroy the body of the blissful sect's celestial king, none of this would have happened. Murong Bing shook her head. Binger, who's that man? What's his name? The sect leader of the compassionate celestial traveler sect asked as she looked at Murong Bing. When she asked the question, a murderous intent flashed in the depths of her eyes, as if she was about to devour someone. I don't know who he is. Murong Bing shook her head. Then, she paused for a moment. Her eyes flickered, and she continued, I don't know his name. Binger, ever since you were young, whenever you lied, your eyes would flicker. It seems like you know that man's name. The sect leader of the compassionate celestial traveler sect said, Martial uncle, that matter was my fault. It has nothing to do with him. He didn't force me. If we really want to talk about it, he himself is a victim. Murong Bing said, Girl, you're just too kind. That man, only by killing him can he not spread the news and ruin your reputation. The sect leader of the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect said with a sigh, in the future, you must learn to nip all hidden dangers in the bud. Tell me the man's name. You don't have to do it yourself. I'll take care of him for you to prevent future troubles. The sect leader of the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect said to Murong Bing with killing intent in her eyes, Martial uncle, you don't have to force me. Murong Bing said with a bitter expression on her face, Binger, don't tell me you've fallen in love with that man? The sect leader of the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect's expression changed drastically as though she had just recalled something. Due to the incident with her twin sister, she did not have a good impression of men. She did not want her niece to make the same mistake as her twin sister. As a mother, she had already suffered a loss once. As a daughter, she could not suffer a loss again. Fallen in love with him? Upon hearing the sect leader of the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect's words, Murong Bing's beautiful eyes became misty again. The purple figure kept appearing in her mind. She kept asking herself, what's the matter? Have I really fallen in love with him? In the end, she discovered she could not answer this question at all. However, there was one thing she was certain of. If that man was present and her martial uncle wanted to kill him, she would definitely protect him even if it meant sacrificing her life. Perhaps she felt it was her fault. Perhaps it was because she was truly moved by the man who had taken away her first time, which was also the only time she had ever had sex with him up until now. Forget it. If you don't want to say it, then don't say it. The sect leader of the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect sighed when she saw Murong Bing's misty eyes. Then, she said with a tired expression on her face, Bing, I'm a little tired. You can leave now. Yes. Murong Bing nodded and left. After Murong Bing left, the sect leader of the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect no longer looked tired. A determined expression appeared on her face. No matter who you are, I won't let you hurt Binger. Even if I have to dig 3 feet into the ground, I'll find you and kill you to prevent future trouble. The killing intent in the sect leader of the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect's eyes intensified. It was as though even slaughtering thousands of cities would not be able to quell her killing intent. Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom, King Chen's Mansion, 9 Spectres County, Bloody Spectre City. At this moment, the sect leader of the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect's eyes that were filled with killing intent began to burn fiercely. It was as though the flames in her eyes were capable of incinerating everything. Time continued to pass. In the Silverworm Army's camp in Bloody Spectre City, 3 people were standing in the tent of Miao Lai Long, the commander of the Silverworm Army, while one of them was seated. Are you sure Duan Lingtian has just ascended to the spirit overarching heaven 2 years ago? Moreover, he's just a heavenly celestial? The young man sitting in the tent asked in a deep voice as he looked at one of the 3 people standing in the tent. If the Silverworm Army soldiers were present, they would recognize the person the young man was questioning was none other than Miao Lai Long, the commander of the Silverworm Army. However, Miao Lai Long, the commander of the Silverworm Army, was extremely humble in front of this young man. It was as though he was facing Lu Fenggu, the city governor of Bloody Spectre City. Young Master Fei, I'm certain. If you don't believe me, I can bring you to see the people who ascended at the same time as Duan Lingtian. Those people who have just ascended to the spirit overarching heaven 2 years ago wouldn't dare to trick you, young Master Fei. Miao Lai Long said confidently. If Duan Lingtian was here, he would recognize the young man with just a glance. The young man sitting in the tent was none other than Zhou Fei, whom Miao Lai Long had severed earlier. He was also the godson of Zhou Tong, the first revered elder of the county governor's estate in 9 Spectres County. Chapter 2646. After staying in the Silverworm Army for a few days, Zhou Fei finally confirmed one thing. Duan Lingtian had only ascended to the spirit overarching heaven 2 years ago. Moreover, he had ascended to the Celestial Ascension Pool. Those who ascended from the Celestial Ascension Pool were only heavenly celestials. A heavenly celestial who managed to defeat me half a year after ascending to the spirit overarching heaven. The celestial methods and divine abilities he has mastered must be heaven-grade celestial methods and divine abilities. Zhou Fei's breathing quickened when he realized this. If any of you dare to spread this news, I'll make sure all of you die a graveless death. Zhou Fei looked at Miao Lai Long, Miao Lai Feng, and Yang Kong Ping coldly before he added, "When I return to the county governor's estate, I'll go to the county governor's estate. When I return to the prefectural governor's mansion, I will tell my adoptive father about this. When the time comes, I will ask him to bestow upon you a generous reward." Zhou Fei used both the carrot and the stick to prevent the trio from spreading this news. If news of this spread, he and his godfather would not be able to obtain the heaven-grade celestial methods and divine abilities Duan Ling Tian had mastered. He could imagine this. If news of Duan Ling Tian mastering a heaven-grade celestial method and a heaven-grade divine ability spread, it would cause an uproar in King Qin's mansion and the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom, let alone 9 Spectres County. After all, even the Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom did not have any heaven-grade celestial methods and divine abilities. Even Earth-grade celestial methods and divine abilities were extremely rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns. "Thank you, young Master Fei." Upon hearing Zhou Fei's words, Miao Lai Long and the other two quickly expressed their gratitude. "Young Master Fei." Miao Lai Long suddenly recalled something. He looked at Zhou Fei with a burning gaze and said, "If revered Elder Zhou Tong has obtained the celestial methods and divine abilities from Duan Ling Tian, please put in a good word for me and ask him to teach me one of the Duan Ling Tian's celestial methods and divine abilities. Just one is enough. I only need one," Miao Lai Long said. He had heard about how Duan Ling Tian had severely injured Zhou Fei 1.5 years ago in the latent dragon abyss in the county governor's estate in 9 Spectres County. For this reason, he was certain Duan Ling Tian had mastered heaven-grade celestial methods and divine abilities and celestial methods and celestial methods and divine abilities and divine abilities. Duan Ling Tian, Duan Ling Celestial, Duan Ling Dynasty, Duan S, and Duan Ling Duan Dun, Duan S, Duan Dun's Heavens Duan Heavens Heard S. They knew very well. If Miao Lai Long could obtain one of the celestial methods and divine abilities that Duan Ling Tian had mastered, they would be able to obtain it as well. After all, Miao Lai Long was Miao Lai Feng's biological brother. Of course, that's not a problem. Zhou Fei agreed immediately. "Thank you, young Master Fei." Miao Lai Long quickly expressed his gratitude. Miao Lai Feng and Yang Kong Ping looked at each other with a hint of excitement in their eyes. At this moment, Miao Lai Long and the other two were so excited that they did not notice Zhou Fei's gaze. A hint of coldness flashed in the depths of Zhou Fei's eyes. After a while, Zhou Fei greeted Miao Lai Long calmly before he left the Silverworm Army's camp. He made his way to Bloody Spectre City to meet up with the elder in the county governor's mansion that his foster father had sent him. "Elder Qian, please send me back to 9 Spectres County." The inter-estate elder who escorted Zhou Fei from the county city of 9 Spectres County to Bloody Spectre City was a subordinate of Zhou Tong, the first revered elder of the county governor's mansion. He only obeyed Zhou Tong's orders. Since Zhou Fei was Zhou Tong's foster son, he treated Zhou Fei as his young master. "Yes, young Master Fei." After leaving Bloody Spectre City and returning to the county city of 9 Spectres County, Zhou Fei asked the inner mansion's elder to bring him back. Therefore, it did not take long for them to return to the county city and the county city. The first thing he did when he returned to the county governor's mansion was to look for his foster father, Zhou Tong. Foster father. When Zhou Fei saw Zhou Tong, he quickly told Zhou Tong everything he knew about the Silverworm Army in Bloody Spectre City. Duan Ling Tian. Is he someone who just ascended to the spirit overarching heaven 2 years ago? He was only a Crimson Moon, heavenly celestial 2 years ago? Also 2 years ago, he was so strong that he could suppress an ordinary golden immortal? Upon hearing Zhou Fei's words, Zhou Tong felt as though he was listening to a fantasy story. He did not believe it at all. What a joke. Duan Ling Tian was a heavenly celestial who had just ascended to the spirit overarching heaven 2 years ago. How could he be strong enough to defeat his foster son and injure him severely? Foster father, I'm telling the truth. If you don't believe me, you can go to the Silverworm Army in Bloody Spectre City and investigate. Seeing that Zhou Tong did not believe him, Zhou Fei became anxious and solemnly vowed. Bloody Spectre City? Zhou Tong narrowed his eyes when he heard Zhou Fei's words. His eyes flashed coldly as he said, "If I'm not mistaken, the city governor of Bloody Spectre City is Lu Fenggu, right?" "That's him," Zhou Fei hurriedly replied. At the same time, he recalled something and added, "I heard from Miao Lai Long, the commander of the Silverworm Army in Bloody Spectre City, that before Duan Lingtian came to the county governor's mansion, Lu Fenggu thought highly of him. Moreover, Lu Fenggu even allowed Duan Lingtian to cultivate in his cultivation room. As the city governor of Bloody Spectre City, Lu Fenggu's cultivation room has the most abundant heaven and earth spirit energy. It's the best place to cultivate. Before Duan Lingtian appeared, even the commanders of the Silverworm Army and the Black Dragon Army had never entered Lu Fenggu's quiet room to cultivate. At this point, Zhou Fei paused for a moment before continuing. Moreover, Miao Lai Long told me that Duan Lingtian had only just ascended to the spirit overarching heaven. Miao Lai Long even brought Lu Fenggu to the Silverworm Army to verify this with the other ascenders who ascended at the same time as Duan Lingtian. In the end, Lu Fenggu also confirmed that Duan Lingtian had only just ascended to the spirit overarching heaven. However, contrary to Miao Lai Long's expectations, he didn't force Duan Lingtian to hand over his celestial methods and divine abilities. Instead, he nurtured him and invited him to the county governor's estate. Zhou Fei looked at Zhou Tong. His expression gradually turned solemn before he continued. "Godfather, I suspect that Lu Fenggu is using the cultivation environment and resources in the county governor's mansion to train Duan Lingtian to deal with you." However, this was only Zhou Fei's guess. However, he still said it. Lu Fenggu, humph. After hearing Zhou Fei's words, Zhou Tong uttered Lu Fenggu's name. His eyes narrowed as a cold light flashed in them. He then snorted coldly. "You, follow me to Bloody Spectre City again." Zhou Tong looked at Zhou Fei. Without waiting for Zhou Fei's reply, he raised his hand again. A vast amount of celestial origin energy surged out and shrouded Zhou Fei. Then, he brought Zhou Fei away from the county city of Nine Spectres County. Zhou Tong was a great overarching golden celestial, so his speed was much faster than the inner court elder who brought Zhou Fei back to the county city. For this reason, it took Zhou Fei less time to arrive at Bloody Spectre City. After arriving at Bloody Spectre City, Zhou Tong went to the Silverworm Army's camp under Zhou Fei's guidance. "This is my godfather, Zhou Tong. He's also the first revered elder of the county governor's estate in Nine Spectres County," Zhou Fei said to Miao Lai Long as he stood behind Zhou Tong in the tent of Miao Lai Long, the commander of the Silverworm Army. "Greetings, revered elder Zhou Tong." Although Miao Lai Long had guessed the old man's identity when he saw him, he could not help but tremble in shock when he heard Zhou Fei's introduction. Then, he humbly bowed at a 90-degree angle to greet the old man. "My godfather wishes to meet the person who ascended to the spirit overarching heaven at the same time as Duan Lingtian," Zhou Fei said to Miao Lai Long. Then, with Miao Lai Long's cooperation, Zhou Tong confirmed Zhou Tong's identity. Duan Lingtian was indeed a heavenly celestial who had ascended to the spirit overarching heaven 2 years ago. Heaven-grade celestial methods and divine abilities? Zhou Tong's eyes gleamed with greed. It was as though he could not wait to imprison Duan Lingtian and force the heaven-grade celestial methods and divine abilities out of Duan Lingtian's mouth. Boom! Just when Miao Lai Long thought Zhou Tong would give him some benefits, Zhou Tong's celestial origin energy suddenly surged out of his body. It was as though a giant beast had opened its mouth and swallowed Miao Lai Long whole. Humph! As soon as Zhou Tong killed Miao Lai Long, Zhou Tong snorted coldly and blocked the power of the minor floating image celestial talisman on Miao Lai Long's body, preventing it from being transmitted to the corresponding major floating image celestial talisman. In the city governor's estate in Bloody Spectre City. As soon as Miao Lai Long died, Lu Fenggu, the city governor of Bloody Spectre City, discovered that Miao Lai Long's soul pearl had shattered. When he tried to use the major floating image celestial talisman to check how Miao Lai Long had died, he discovered there was no reaction from the talisman. The attacker is a great overarching golden celestial? Lu Fenggu's expression changed drastically. Soon after, Lu Fenggu heard about the deaths of Miao Lai Long's sister, Miao Lai Feng, and Miao Lai Long's brother-in-law, Yang Kongping. It was to the extent that the entire Silver Dragon Army's camp was covered in blood, and it was difficult to find a single survivor. Two figures left Bloody Spectre City and made their way to the county city of Nine Spectres County. "Godfather, why didn't you look for Lu Fenggu?" Zhou Fei asked, puzzled. "It won't be too late to look for Duan Lingtian after I obtain his heaven-grade celestial methods and divine abilities and kill him." Chapter 26:47. But, Godfather, with Duan Lingtian's strength, there's a high chance he'll be able to enter the top 3 in the martial competition of the 16 counties held in King Qin's mansion 1.5 years later. Hearing Zhou Tong's words, Zhou Fei rejoiced in his heart. At the same time, he deliberately asked, "Do you plan to make a move on him after he participates in the martial competition of the 16 counties? Or now?" After he said those words, Zhou Fei's gaze landed on Zhou Tong's face. He wanted to see how his adoptive father would react to his words from his face. "Umph." Hearing Zhou Fei's words, Zhou Tong coldly snorted again. A cold light flashed through his eyes and his expression instantly darkened. Of course now, he did not know why King Qin's mansion would go to such great lengths to hold the martial competition of the 16 counties. However, based on the great overarching pills that King Qin's mansion awarded to the top 3 participants, it was clear that King Qin's mansion placed great importance on the martial competition of the 16 counties. If Duan Lingtian failed to enter the top 2 in the martial competition of the 16 counties, he would not be able to obtain the mediocre celestial pill, the great overarching pill. If Duan Lingtian managed to enter the top 2, he would be able to obtain the great overarching pill. However, once Duan Lingtian made it into the top 3 or top 2 of the martial competition of the 16 counties, King Qin's mansion would definitely pay more attention to Duan Lingtian, who had performed outstandingly in the competition. At that time, it would be extremely difficult for Zhou Tong to obtain the heaven-grade celestial methods and divine abilities that Duan Lingtian had mastered. On one hand, he might not be able to obtain the mediocre celestial pill, the great overarching pill. On the other hand, he might be able to obtain the heaven-grade celestial methods and divine abilities that Duan Lingtian had mastered. Zhou Tong thought about it for a moment before he chose the second option. Of course now. Zhou Fei's eyes lit up when he heard Zhou Tong's words. He quickly flattered, "Godfather, you're wise. If we let Duan Lingtian participate in the martial competition of the 16 counties, I'm afraid it won't be as easy as killing him now." This was the result that Zhou Fei was waiting for. Duan Lingtian, compared to the mediocre celestial pill, the great overarching pill, which I might not be able to obtain, the heaven-grade celestial methods and divine abilities you possess are much more tempting to me. Just wait for my foster father to force you to hand over your immortal arts and divine abilities, and then kill you in the end. While flattering Zhou Tong, Zhou Fei's eyes flashed as he muttered to himself. It was as if he was talking to Duan Lingtian face to face. "Foster father," Zhou Fei continued. "Now, the county governor thinks very highly of Duan Lingtian. I'm afraid it's impossible for you to make a move on that Duan Lingtian in the county governor's manor. Moreover, if you threaten Duan Lingtian in the county governor's manor, Lord County Governor will find out that Duan Lingtian has mastered heaven-grade celestial methods and divine abilities. At that time, it'll be fine if Lord County Governor is willing to share the heaven-grade celestial methods and divine abilities with you. However, if he's unwilling or insists on letting Duan Lingtian participate in the martial competition of the 16 counties, I'm afraid you won't be able to obtain the heaven-grade celestial methods and divine abilities that Duan Lingtian has mastered. Moreover, if Duan Lingtian participates in the martial competition of the 16 counties, King Qin's manor might take a liking to him and make him stay in King Qin's manor. At that time, not only will it be difficult for you to threaten him, but even Lord County Governor might not be able to do so. Moreover, if Duan Lingtian is someone who Lu Fenggu, the city governor of Bloody Spectre City, intentionally raised to deal with you, father. With his innate talent, he'll be able to grow quickly in King Qin's manner. Coupled with the heaven-grade celestial methods and divine abilities that he has mastered, I'm afraid he'll be a threat to you in the future. After Zhou Fei spoke, he also analyzed his own point of view with Zhou Tong. Fair, your analysis is good. Zhou Tong nodded in satisfaction after hearing Zhou Fei's words. Then, his eyes flashed coldly as he said, I'll think of a way to make Duan Lingtian leave the county governor's estate. Once he leaves the county governor's estate, I'll be able to force him to hand over the heaven-grade celestial methods and divine abilities that he has mastered. Based on Zhou Tong's words, it was clear he had a plan. In Bloody Spectre City, the recent events had caused Lu Fenggu, the city governor of Bloody Spectre City, to feel extremely gloomy. Apart from the Silverworm Army soldiers who were out on missions, the Silverworm Army soldiers who were stationed at the Silverworm Army's camp, including Miao Lai Long, and those who had just ascended to the spirit overarching heaven to work as miners in the celestial stone vein were all killed. In the main hall of the city governor's estate, Lu Fenggu sat in the main seat while Chen Xianba, the commander of the Black Dragon Army, sat next to him. Xianba, what do you think of this? Lu Fenggu asked in a deep voice as he looked at Chen Xianba. Even though Lu Fenggu was able to maintain his mental state for a long period of time due to his extraordinary cultivation, after a period of investigation and torment, he still showed signs of fatigue. His eyes were bloodshot and filled with dense veins. Lord City Governor, initially, I thought the Silverworm Army must have offended someone. However, after thinking about it, I don't think so. If the Silverworm Army had offended someone who had the strength to kill Commander Miao Lai Long, it's impossible for that person to not seek an explanation from you. After all, you're the city governor of Bloody Spectre City and Commander Miao Lai Long's superior. Lord City Governor, I think Commander Miao Lai Long had the minor floating image celestial talisman that you gave him, right? Chen Xianba suddenly thought of this. When he died, the major floating image celestial talisman that corresponded to his minor floating image celestial talisman didn't receive any celestial talisman's energy, so it couldn't display the floating image mirror image. However, I'm certain he had used the minor floating image celestial talisman. Lu Fenggu replied. Gasp. Chen Xianba inhaled sharply when he heard Lu Fenggu's words. An expression of shock could be seen on his face as he asked, then, does this mean the person who killed Commander Miao Lai Long is most likely a great overarching golden celestial? It's not just a possibility. The person who killed him is definitely a great overarching golden celestial. Lu Fenggu said confidently. How did the Silverworm Army offend a great overarching golden celestial? Moreover, if the Silverworm Army offended a great overarching golden celestial, that great overarching golden celestial would have come to the city governor's estate to look for you, Lord City Governor, right? Chen Xianba muttered to himself in confusion. Perhaps there's another reason. Lu Fenggu said in a deep voice. Whoosh! All of a sudden, a gust of wind blew into the main hall. Lord City Governor. Accompanying this gust of wind was an aged voice. Following that, an old man appeared in the main hall and bowed at Lu Fenggu. Elder Hong. Seeing the old man, Chen Xianba, who was sitting at the side, quickly stood up and respectfully greeted him. Although he was the commander of the Black Dragon Army, he did not dare to be disrespectful in front of this old man. Not only was this old man the closest person to the city governor of Bloody Spectre City, but he was also the leader of the Golden Serpent Guards. Moreover, this old man was widely acknowledged as the second strongest person in Bloody Spectre City. Elder Hong, did you find anything? Lu Fenggu asked with a glint in his eyes. Old Hong nodded before he continued to say, Lord City Governor, some time ago, 2 uninvited guests came to Bloody Spectre City. They came from the county city, the county governor's estate. 2 uninvited guests? From the county governor's estate? Lu Fenggu's eyes widened as he asked in a deep voice, Who are they? A figure that he hated immediately appeared in his mind. It was none other than Zhou Tong, the first revered elder of the county governor's estate in 9 Spectres County. Zhou Tong was a great overarching golden celestial. Moreover, He was one of the only two great overarching golden celestials in Nine Spectres County. When Qin Xianba looked at Elder Hong said, "There are two uninvited guests. One of them is the inner estate elder of the county governor's estate, Qian Ping, and the other is Zhou Fei, the foster son of revered elder Zhou Tong. His limbs were severed by the Duan Lingtian a year and a half ago. Qian Ping is Zhou Tong's subordinate, and Zhou Fei is Zhou Tong's foster son." The Silverworm Army's camp was almost razed to the ground. After hearing Elder Hong's words, Lu Fenggu seemed to have thought of something, and his expression suddenly changed. "Lord City Governor." Chen Xianba was curious. Chen Xianba was curious as to what the city governor of Bloody Spectre City was thinking of that caused his expression to turn so ugly in just an instant. "Xianba, you can leave now." Just as Chen Xianba was feeling curious, Lu Fenggu looked at him and waved his hand. "I already know what to do, so there's no need for you to continue investigating. I'll tell you more about it later. For now, I have something to say to Elder Hong." "Yes, Lord City Governor." Although Chen Xianba was puzzled, he still left the hall. After Chen Xianba left, Lu Fenggu looked at Elder Hong and said in a deep voice, "Elder Hong, if I'm not mistaken, Zhou Tong already knows that Duan Lingtian is a heavenly celestial who has only ascended to the spirit overarching heaven 2 years ago. In his eyes, Duan Lingtian is a heavenly celestial who has mastered heaven-grade celestial methods and divine abilities. With his greedy nature, he must have coveted the celestial methods and divine abilities that Duan Lingtian has mastered. Otherwise, he wouldn't have resorted to such extreme measures to silence the Silverworm Army." Lu Fenggu said. With Lu Fenggu's intelligence, it was not difficult for him to figure out what had happened. Zhou Tong had made a move. The city governor's men. If Zhou Tong was the one who made the move, why didn't he look for trouble with you? Elder Hong asked. Zhou Tong is stubborn and self-opinionated. I'm afraid he's already guessed I've groomed Duan Lingtian to deal with him. With his character, he'll definitely come and humiliate me after dealing with Duan Lingtian. Chapter 2648. Lord City Governor, if that's the case, won't Duan Lingtian be in danger? Old Hong gasped when he heard Lu Fenggu's words. A hint of dread could be seen on his face as he said, "Lord City Governor, why don't you use a communication celestial talisman to inform him about this? If he receives your message, he'll be able to prepare himself and think of a way to deal with the threat from Zhou Tong." Old Hong said. Old Hong. Lu Fenggu sighed when he heard Old Hong's words. "I've thought about this as well. However, do you think my communication celestial talisman will reach the county city? Unless I have a communication celestial talisman inscribed by a great overarching golden celestial or stronger, the chances of it reaching the county city are slim, let alone entering the county governor's estate and reaching Duan Lingtian." A communication celestial talisman was a communication celestial talisman. Immortal message talismans were also divided into different grades. The higher the cultivation level of the immortal message talisman, the faster the transmission speed. Moreover, it could prevent others from intercepting the transmission of the immortal message talisman. For example, Lu Fenggu was a great overarching golden celestial talisman. Lu Fenggu was an indigo sun golden celestial. Although he had communication celestial talismans, they were all inscribed by him. Any communication celestial talisman he inscribed could be intercepted by an indigo sun golden celestial or stronger. The distance between Bloody Spectre City and the county city of Nine Spectres County was huge. His immortal message talisman would most likely be intercepted halfway. It was unlikely that it would reach the county city of Nine Spectres County and the county governor's residence. For a communication celestial talisman to successfully transmit a message from Bloody Spectre City to the county city of Nine Spectres County, it had to be inscribed by a great overarching golden celestial. This was because only a great overarching golden celestial or stronger could intercept a communication celestial talisman inscribed by a great overarching golden celestial. For example, after Zhou Fei's limbs were severed by Duan Lingtian, the communication celestial talisman he used to send a message to his foster father, Zhou Tong, was personally inscribed by his foster father, a yellow-rank great overarching golden celestial. Moreover, Even if I have a communication celestial talisman inscribed by a great overarching golden celestial, do you think Zhou Tong would still ask me to use a communication celestial talisman to contact Duan Lingtian, since he already knows about Duan Lingtian's background? I'm almost certain that even if either of us went to the county city of Nine Spectres County or the county governor's estate, we wouldn't be able to see Duan Lingtian. At this point, Lu Fenggu paused for a moment before continuing. Therefore, we can't help Duan Lingtian in any way. He can only rely on himself. Lu Fenggu said. Upon hearing Lu Fenggu's words, Elder Hong fell silent. After giving it some thought, Lu Fenggu's words made sense. After Elder Hong left, Lu Fenggu's tense expression finally relaxed. He let out a long sigh as he said, Duan Lingtian, I hope you'll be able to escape this calamity. Otherwise, I'm afraid I won't have a chance to seek revenge from Zhou Tong. Lu Fenggu could imagine what would happen if Zhou Tong was killed. If something happened to Duan Lingtian, Zhou Tong would definitely not let him off. After all, Zhou Tong did not want another Duan Lingtian to appear. In the past, Zhou Tong did not feel threatened by Lu Fenggu. Out of respect for the county governor of Nine Spectres County, Zhou Tong could not be bothered to make things difficult for Lu Fenggu. However, Duan Lingtian had appeared in Bloody Spectre City this time. Moreover, before Duan Lingtian went to the county governor's estate, Zhou Tong had treated Duan Lingtian so well and provided him with the best cultivation environment and resources. As long as Zhou Tong was not an idiot, he would definitely feel threatened by Lu Fenggu. Once Zhou Tong dealt with Duan Lingtian, there was no way he would allow Duan Lingtian to continue living in Bloody Spectre City to prevent another threat like Duan Lingtian. At this moment, Lu Fenggu was almost certain. If something happened to Duan Lingtian, Lu Fenggu would definitely die. Lord City Governor, the leader of the Golden Serpent Guards, Elder Hong, had returned and said to Lu Fenggu, Elder Hong. He said to Lu Fenggu, a year ago, we received news from the county governor's estate that King Qin's mansion will be holding the martial competition of the 16 counties. The county behind the top 3 participants will be able to obtain the mediocre celestial pill, the great overarching pill. Because of this, Lord County Governor didn't make things difficult for Duan Lingtian even though he violated the rules set by Lord County Governor. Instead, Lord County Governor even ordered Elder Zhangqiu to take the blame for Duan Lingtian to protect Duan Lingtian. Based on this, it's clear that Lord County Governor values Duan Lingtian a lot and has placed all his hopes on Duan Lingtian to obtain the mediocre celestial pill, the great overarching pill. You and I both know that Lord County Governor's cultivation base has reached a bottleneck many years ago and hasn't improved since then. Therefore, he's determined to obtain the great overarching pill this time. Under such circumstances, for the sake of the great overarching pill and the martial competition of the 16 counties, he'll definitely protect Duan Lingtian. Elder Hong paused for a moment before he continued. Lord City Governor, why don't you tell Lord County Governor everything you know about Duan Lingtian? Let Lord County Governor protect Duan Lingtian, so that Duan Lingtian won't be harmed by Zhou Tong. Elder Hong finished his sentence in one breath. I've thought about this as well. Lu Fenggu sighed and said, however, you're oversimplifying things. Let's not talk about whether Zhou Tong will allow us to contact Lord County Governor. Even if we manage to contact Lord County Governor, do you think he won't become a second Zhou Tong? After all, the temptation of a heaven-grade celestial method and divine ability is greater than the mediocre celestial pill, the great overarching pill. Lu Fenggu said. Upon hearing Lu Fenggu's words, Elder Hong could not help but smile bitterly. My thoughts aren't as thorough as yours, Lord City Governor. I should have thought of this earlier. It's impossible that you haven't thought of the idea of Lord County Governor protecting Duan Lingtian. It seems like we can only rely on Duan Lingtian this time. Elder Hong sighed when he reached the end of his sentence. Duan Lingtian was unaware of what was happening in Bloody Spectre City. At this moment, he was still in closed-door cultivation. Ever since Duan Lingtian obtained the bottle of primitive celestial pills, the hidden spirit pills, from the county governor of Nine Spectres County, he had been immersed in his cultivation. Even after he had a breakthrough, he continued to cultivate in order to break through to the next level. Apart from that, he continued to absorb the hidden spirit pill, the primitive celestial pill, into his body. He had completely lost track of time as he cultivated. Although he had encountered some bottlenecks in his cultivation and his cultivation speed had slowed down, he did not stop cultivating. He continued to circulate the yellow-grade cultivation method, the secret crystal clearance technique. His celestial origin energy worked with the hidden spirit pill and the spirit containment pill as he continued to circulate the energy in his body. Naturally, during this process, Duan Lingtian's cultivation environment and the prominent celestial stones in his possession played a huge role as well. There's only one hidden spirit pill left. I hope the last hidden spirit pill will be able to help me break through the bottleneck and break through to the next level. In the stone chamber in the deepest part of the latent dragon abyss, Duan Lingtian raised his hand and brought the last primitive celestial pill, the hidden spirit pill, into his hand. Then, he popped it into his mouth and swallowed it. A rich medicinal energy flowed down his throat and spread to his entire body in just a blink of an eye. Spirit hardening pill. Following that, Duan Lingtian consumed another primitive celestial pill, the spirit hardening pill. Coincidentally, there's not much medicinal energy left in the previous spirit hardening pill. Now that I've consumed another spirit hardening pill, I'll try to break through this bottleneck in one go. After consuming the medicinal pill, Duan Lingtian concentrated his mind and calmed his qi before once again immersing himself in cultivation. Only the thought of cultivation remained in his mind, and his mind was completely devoid of distracting thoughts. At this moment, Duan Lingtian was still unaware that someone in the latent dragon abyss was waiting for him in the latent dragon abyss. In the county governor's manor, there was someone waiting for him to come out of seclusion. Furthermore, the person was very patient and had been waiting for several months. Damn it, that Duan Lingtian still hasn't come out of his closed-door cultivation. He's only a heavenly celestial. No matter how good the cultivation environment is, no matter how many cultivation resources he has, he should have encountered a bottleneck and come out for a breather, right? It's been almost a year and a half, but he still hasn't come out of his closed-door cultivation. In the second-last cultivation room in the latent dragon abyss, Zhou Fei, who had just returned from outside, had a grave expression on his face. It had been a few months since he and his godfather, Zhou Tong, had returned from Bloody Spectre City. During these few months, they had been waiting for Duan Lingtian to come out of his closed-door cultivation. After all, they could not directly attack Duan Lingtian in the latent dragon abyss. If they did, the county governor of Nine Spectres County would be alerted. At that time, they might not even be able to snatch the celestial methods and divine abilities from Duan Lingtian. As the saying went, the older the ginger, the spicier it was. Zhou Tong had been waiting patiently for Duan Lingtian to come out of his closed-door cultivation. Zhou Fei, on the other hand, was gradually losing his patience after waiting for a few months. However, he could only wait patiently. Every once in a while, he would come out of his room to check if there were any movements in the room below. 2 months later, boom, rumble. All of a sudden, a series of loud noises rang in the deepest part of the latent dragon abyss. It was as though an earth-shattering explosion had occurred. Even the stone room at the top that was closest to the latent dragon abyss trembled slightly. Naturally, the tremors were only limited to the stone room. The stone rooms above the latent dragon abyss did not tremble at all. After all, the latent dragon abyss was built under the supervision of the county governor of Nine Spectres County. This tremor, it's coming from Duan Lingtian's stone room. In the second-last stone room in the latent dragon abyss, Zhou Fei, who was sitting cross-legged, suddenly opened his eyes with an excited expression on his face. Chapter 26:49. There were a total of 30 stone rooms in the latent dragon abyss. The deeper the room was, the better the cultivation environment was. The cultivation environment in the deepest room was comparable to the cultivation place of the county governor and the #1 revered elder of Nine Spectres County. At this moment, the celestial origin energy in the deepest room of the latent dragon abyss was turbulent. His celestial elemental power rushed in all directions like a runaway wild horse. It wreaked havoc in the entire stone room. It slammed against the walls of the stone room and issued waves of muffled sounds. This sound was like the sound of a drum, deafening to the ears. The source of the turbulent celestial origin energy was none other than the purple-clad young man sitting on the stone bed in the room. It was none other than Duan Lingtian, who had been in closed-door cultivation for 1.5 years. Ever since Duan Lingtian left Zhang Qiu's courtyard and returned to the stone room in the latent dragon abyss 1.5 years ago, he had not left his room at all. He had been fully immersed in his cultivation. With the attitude of a daredevil, he was trying his best to increase his cultivation base. As the saying went, heaven rewards those who persevere. After 1.5 years, Duan Lingtian finally made his second breakthrough and became a yellow sun golden celestial. So this is the celestial origin energy of a yellow sun golden celestial? The celestial origin energy in the stone chamber surged out of Duan Lingtian's body and hit the walls of the stone chamber. Naturally, the celestial origin energy was not as simple as the celestial origin energy of a yellow sun golden celestial. However, the celestial origin energy that's surging out of my body is incomparable to the celestial origin energy of an ordinary yellow sun golden celestial. With the help of the 99 heavenly veins in my body, my celestial origin energy has increased by 2 levels. It's comparable to an ordinary blue sun golden celestial. Duan Lingtian thought to himself. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. After a while, the sound of wind whistling in the air rang in the air. With just a thought, Duan Lingtian withdrew his celestial origin energy. After Duan Lingtian withdrew his celestial origin energy, Duan Lingtian's figure gradually became visible. Duan Lingtian abruptly opened his eyes. His eyes flashed with a dazzling light, as if they could illuminate the entire world. Fortunately, I managed to break through and become a yellow sun golden celestial with the help of the last hidden spirit pill. I wonder how long I've been cultivating in seclusion this time. However, it should be less than 2.5 years. Duan Lingtian didn't know how long he had been in seclusion. However, he was certain of one thing. This time, he should be in seclusion for a little more than 2 years, less than 2.5 years. 2.5 years later, King Qin's mansion would hold the martial competition of the 16 counties. Even the county governor of 9 Spectres County would not allow him to cultivate in seclusion for such a long time, let alone the others. After all, the county governor of 9 Spectres County was counting on him to obtain the mediocre celestial pill, the great overarching pill. Now that I've run out of hidden spirit pills, my cultivation speed won't be fast even if I continue to cultivate. I should wait for more hidden spirit pills or other primitive celestial pills that can coexist with the spirit-nourishing pill before I continue to cultivate. Duan Lingtian, who had experienced consuming the hidden spirit pill and the spirit-nourishing pill at the same time, did not want to consume only the spirit-nourishing pill for the time being. After all, it would be much slower than consuming both hidden spirit pills and spirit-nourishing pills at the same time. Unless there was no other way, Duan Lingtian did not want to consume only the spirit-nourishing pills to cultivate. I haven't gone out for a walk since I've been in the county city for so long. I should go out for a walk and relax. With this thought in mind, Duan Lingtian got off the stone bed and left the stone cultivation room. As soon as Duan Lingtian left the stone cultivation room, he felt someone's gaze on him. Zhou Fei. When he raised his head to look at the person who was looking at him, he discovered it was none other than Zhou Fei, the adopted son of Zhou Tong, the first revered elder of the county governor's estate. Zhou Fei was also the person who had his limbs severed and severely injured by him. Duan Lingtian could sense the hatred in Zhou Fei's eyes when he looked at him. However, he was not bothered by it. After all, he was the one who severed Zhou Fei's limbs. It would be strange if Zhou Fei did not hate him. It was not difficult for Duan Lingtian to figure out why Zhou Fei had left the stone cultivation room. Although the commotion that I created earlier was not very big, Zhou Fei's current training stone room is coincidentally above mine. It is likely that he will be able to detect the commotion within my training stone room. Duan Lingtian withdrew his gaze from Zhou Fei and flew up into the air. He did not even look at Zhou Fei throughout the entire process. Duan Lingtian. Zhou Fei was, naturally, enraged when he saw how Duan Lingtian had disregarded him. He gritted his teeth in anger. However, he could only roar inwardly. You can continue being smug. I'd like to see how long you can be smug for. It's Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian has come out of closed-door cultivation? It seems like I haven't seen him for a long time. It's been a year and a half, right? When Duan Lingtian rose into the air and made his way out of the latent dragon abyss, those who had just walked out of their stone chambers or had just returned could not help but discuss among themselves. Duan Lingtian. A familiar voice rang in the air when Duan Lingtian was about to leave the latent dragon abyss. Qingyu? When Duan Lingtian turned around, he saw Qingyu, the former captain of the Black Dragon Army, who had come with him from Bloody Spectre City, walking out of the third last stone cultivation room in the latent dragon abyss. Qingyu was flying toward him. Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, Qingyu had arrived in front of Duan Lingtian. Now that they were so close, Duan Lingtian could clearly feel the change in Qingyu's aura. He could not help but feel a little surprised. Qingyu, you have a breakthrough?
Yes.
Qingyu nodded with a smile. If I hadn't broken through, how could I have occupied the stone cultivation room that was second only to yours and Zhou Fei's? I was also surprised when I saw you come out of that stone cultivation room, Duan Lingtian sighed. In the past, he knew that Qingyu was talented and was surprised that Qingyu had obtained one of the only 2 spots to enter the 9 Spectres County. However, he did not expect Qingyu's talent and strength to be so extraordinary. The fact that Qingyu was able to occupy the third last stone room in the Hidden Dragon Abyss meant that Qingyu's strength was second only to him and Zhou Fei. There's nothing to be surprised about. Compared to you, I'm still lacking. Qingyu laughed self-mockingly. 2 people from Bloody Spectre City came, and they're ranked in the top 3 among the 30 golden celestials under the age of 100 in the county governor's office. I'm sure Governor Liu will be happy to know about this. Duan Lingtian changed the topic with a smile. Lord City Lord must already know that you, Duan Lingtian, have become the strongest person in the latent dragon abyss. As for me, I only managed to obtain the stone cultivation room a few months ago. I'm afraid it'll take some time for this matter to reach City Lord's ears. Qingyu said. Duan Lingtian. Suddenly, Qingyu's eyes widened as he looked at Duan Lingtian and asked, I can feel that your aura has changed quite a lot. You've been in closed-door cultivation for 1.5 years. I'm sure you've gained quite a lot, right? A year and a half? You know when I started closed-door cultivation? Duan Lingtian was slightly taken aback. I don't know when you started closed-door cultivation, but I heard the same thing from a few people. Qingyu said, a year and a half? Upon hearing Qinyu's words, Duan Lingtian was certain. It seems like I've indeed spent a year and a half cultivating in closed-door cultivation. In just a year and a half, I managed to break through from a Scarlet Sun Golden Celestial to a Yellow Sun Golden Celestial. That's a leap of 2 cultivation levels. With such a cultivation speed, it's barely passable in the spirit overarching heaven, right? Duan Lingtian thought to himself. Qingyu was unaware of Duan Lingtian's thoughts. Otherwise, Qingyu would have rolled his eyes at Duan Lingtian. Even the most talented Scarlet Sun Golden Celestial in a high-rank celestial kingdom would take much longer than Duan Lingtian to break through to the Yellow Sun Golden Celestial if he had a better cultivation environment, cultivation resources, and cultivation methods than Duan Lingtian. The reason Duan Lingtian took such a short time to cultivate was due to his 99 heavenly veins. Naturally, if he only had 99 heavenly veins, his cultivation speed would not have been so fast. After he had ascended to the spirit overarching heaven and became a heavenly celestial, he had heeded Ku-Er's third uncle, Xiajie's, advice and used the energy in the celestial ascension pool to temper his 99 heavenly veins. That was how he built his foundation. Because of this, with only the 99 veins of heaven in his body that had been tempered thousands of times, his cultivation speed had reached an unheard-of level. Otherwise, how could a Scarlet Moon heavenly celestial who had just ascended to the spirit overarching heaven 2.5 years ago become a Yellow Sun Golden Celestial in just 2.5 years? How could a Scarlet Moon heavenly celestial become a Yellow Sun Golden Celestial in just 2.5 years? Apart from the powerful forces in the Devata realms who used prominent celestial pills or higher to forcefully raise their juniors' cultivation bases, there was no other way. In the history of the spirit overarching heaven, No one had ever been able to consume a primitive celestial pill to cultivate. It was not only in the spirit overarching heaven. Even in the history of the 81 Devata realms, there were only a handful of people who were capable of this feat naturally. Duan Lingtian was unaware of this. Duan Lingtian, where do you plan to go? Qin Yu asked. I've been in the county city for so long, but I haven't gone out yet. Now that I'm out of seclusion, I'm going to walk around. I'll go with you, Duan Lingtian replied. I'll go with you then. Since I've been in the county governor's estate for 2 years, I'm quite familiar with the county city. Chapter 2650. Let's go together then. Duan Lingtian nodded his head. Although he did not have much interaction with Qinyu, through their interactions in the past, he still had a good impression of Qinyu. After Duan Lingtian and Qin, you left the latent dragon abyss together. Whoosh. A figure flew out of the latent dragon abyss after Duan Lingtian and Qinyu. However, unlike Duan Lingtian and Qinyu, this person did not head to the entrance of the county governor's mansion. Instead, this person headed in another direction. This person was none other than Zhou Fei. When Zhou Fei saw Duan Lingtian coming out of his closed-door cultivation, he immediately left the latent dragon abyss to report to his godfather, Zhou Tong, who was also the first revered elder of the county governor's mansion. Duan Lingtian has come out of closed-door cultivation? Although Zhou Tong had been patiently waiting for Duan Lingtian to come out of closed-door cultivation, his eyes still lit up when he heard that Duan Lingtian had come out of closed-door cultivation. He was so excited that his old face trembled slightly. Godfather, what should we do next? Zhou Fei asked. I know what to do. Zhou Tong gradually calmed down before he narrowed his eyes. A cold light flashed in his eyes as he said, You just have to come with me to watch the show. Zhou Fei felt relieved when he heard Zhou Tong's confident words. On the other side, after Duan Lingtian, Qinyu, and the others left the county governor's estate, they strolled around the county city under Qin Yu's lead. Although it had been 2 years since Duan Lingtian came to the county city of Nine Spectres County, this was his first time strolling around the county city. Everything in the county city was unfamiliar to him, so he kept looking around. After strolling around the county city for most of the day, Duan Lingtian entered a restaurant under Qin Yu's lead and sat at the corner of the lobby as he listened to the crowd of customers in the lobby talk about various things, gossip, and things. Duan Lingtian and Qin Yu listened with great interest as the customers in the main hall chatted about everything under the sun. Suddenly, the discussion of 2 drinkers at one of the tables attracted Duan Lingtian's attention. Have you heard? A year later, King Qin's mansion will hold the martial competition of the 16 counties. One of the drinkers said to another drinker, who was his friend, Martial competition of the 16 counties? As for his friend, it was obviously the first time he had heard of this matter. What is that? Martial competition of the 16 counties. As the former continued to introduce the martial competition of the 16 counties, not only his friends, but also most of the people in the restaurant turned their attention to him. They listened intently to his introduction of the martial competition of the 16 counties. He thought that this was the first time most people had heard of this matter. No wonder a brother of mine who works in the prefectural governor's mansion told me that the latent dragon abyss appeared 2 years ago, and that there were 30 golden immortals below the age of 100 in the latent dragon abyss. So it was the prefectural governor's mansion's preparation for the martial competition of the 16 counties. Latent dragon abyss? I've heard of the county governor's estate. I even heard that 2 years ago, a golden celestial below the age of 100 was recruited from Bloody Spectre City. As soon as he arrived at the hidden dragon abyss, he severed Zhou Fei's limbs and severely injured him. Zhou Fei? You mean the strongest golden immortal below the age of 100 in Nine Spectres County? The adopted son of Zhou Tong, the first revered elder of Nine Spectres County? That's him. Are you kidding me? Zhou Fei is the strongest golden immortal below the age of 100 in Nine Spectres County. How could he have his limbs broken by a golden immortal below the age of 100 from Bloody Spectre City? Actually, this news had spread in the county 2 years ago. However, after a few people were killed by revered elder Zhou Tong's subordinates for gossiping about this matter, fewer and fewer people dared to talk about it. Then, you dare to talk about it now? Aren't you afraid of death? I think. I'm not that unlucky. right? Forget it. I'll pay the bill and leave now. After the person who had exposed the news left in a hurry, a commotion broke out in the large restaurant. Most of them were talking about the golden immortal below the age of 100 from Bloody Spectre City, Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian, how do you think they'll react if they find out the person they're talking about is sitting here? Qin Yu asked Duan Lingtian with a smile on his face. Initially, I wanted to listen to their stories to broaden my horizons. However, it seems like they won't stop talking for the time being. Let's go, Duan Lingtian said with a shrug. All the customers in this huge restaurant's lobby were now talking about him, and it was getting out of hand. It seemed like they would not be able to change the topic until half a day later. After leaving the restaurant, Duan Lingtian walked around the county city under Qin Yu's lead before returning to the county governor's estate in the latent dragon abyss. Keep your voice down. Not many people know about that place yet. If we hurry over now, we might be able to get a share of the loot. All of a sudden, a voice came from a remote alley in front of them. Although the voice was deliberately lowered, it was still heard by Duan Lingtian and Qin Yu. For a moment, the two of them stopped moving. After looking at each other, they made a shushing gesture and listened attentively. Is there really a profound grade cultivation method in that place? Another voice that was deliberately lowered sounded, and there was a hint of excitement in it. I'm not sure. However, it said that place was left behind by an overarching heavenly supreme celestial. It's normal for an overarching heavenly supreme celestial to cultivate a profound grade cultivation method, right? The voice continued to recount the rumors about the ruin left behind by an overarching heavenly supreme celestial. It did not seem like it was fake at all. Based on what he said, that place doesn't seem fake. Qin Yu said in a low voice as he looked at Duan Lingtian. Indeed, Duan Lingtian nodded. He could also tell that the various messages that the person said did not seem to be fake. A moment later, the two sneaky people left the small alley and headed out of the county city. After leaving the county city, they headed north. At the north gate of the county city, Duan Lingtian and Qin Yu stopped in their tracks. Do you want to follow them and have a look? Qin Yu asked Duan Lingtian. Then, he added, once we leave the county city, we won't be able to protect our lives. Of course, if you return to the county governor's estate now and ask him to send an inner court elder with us, I'm afraid it'll be difficult for us to follow them. Although not many people in the county governor's estate knew about the mediocre grade celestial pill, the great overarching pill, being awarded to the top 3 contestants in the martial competition of the 16 counties, Duan Lingtian and Duan Lingtian were from the county governor's estate. However, as someone who had come from Bloody Spectre City with Duan Lingtian and had come to the county city with Zheng Qiu, an inner court elder of the county governor's estate, Qin Yu had heard about this matter from Zheng Qiu. For this reason, he knew the county governor of 9 Spectres county valued Duan Lingtian a lot. As long as Duan Lingtian asked, the county governor of 9 Spectres County would be willing to send an inner court elder to accompany Duan Lingtian out of the county city. Moreover, it was a mysterious grade cultivation method. Even the county governor of 9 Spectres County would be tempted by it. Based on how highly the county governor of 9 Spectres County valued Duan Lingtian, he would definitely pass the mysterious grade cultivation method to Duan Lingtian, so that Duan Lingtian could obtain a better ranking in the martial competition of the 16 counties organized by King Qin's mansion. If I return to the county governor's estate now, I'll definitely lose track of them. If the news they said about the mysterious grade cultivation method doesn't sound real, there's no need for me to take the risk. However, based on their words, it's very likely that it's true. Duan Lingtian's eyes flashed as he made up his mind. I'll follow them and have a look. As for you, you can return to the county governor's estate first. If I'm lucky enough to obtain the mysterious grade cultivation method, I'll pass it to you as well. If I don't go with you, even if you obtain the mysterious grade cultivation method, I won't be able to accept it. Qin Yu shook his head and decided to go with Duan Lingtian. 2 years ago, Duan Lingtian had known that Qin Yu was a stubborn person since they had traveled from Bloody Spectre City to the county city of 9 Spectres County. Once Qin Yu had made up his mind, it would be difficult for him to change his mind. For this reason, Duan Lingtian did not try to persuade Qin Yu and agreed immediately. You can come with me, but don't stray too far from me. Duan Lingtian reminded Qin Yu. Understood. Qin Yu nodded. Although he did not know how powerful Duan Lingtian was, he was certain that Duan Lingtian was stronger than him. It did not take long before Duan Lingtian and Qin Yu left the north gate of the Nine Spectres County. They followed the two men as they made their way north. The two men were ordinary Scarlet Sun Golden Celestials. Although they were not slow, Duan Lingtian and Duan Lingtian were much faster. It was not difficult for them to catch up with the two men. Duan Lingtian and Duan Lingtian continued to follow the two men as they walked further and further away. Duan Lingtian, I feel like something's not right. Qin Yu's expression turned solemn as he flew through the air above a bamboo forest. He had a feeling that something was not right. I'm afraid we've fallen into a trap this time. At this moment, Duan Lingtian also realized the danger they were in. This was because the two people whom they were following closely seemed to have disappeared without a trace in an instant after they arrived in the sky above the bamboo forest. At the same time, the two of them seemed to have become two headless flies. Just when Duan Lingtian and Duan Lingtian realized something was amiss and realized the danger they were in, they came to a halt simultaneously. Duan Lingtian. A voice that Duan Lingtian was very familiar with suddenly sounded from the sky. It was getting closer and closer. Duan Lingtian immediately raised his head to look. Two figures appeared in front of him. An old man stood in front of him while a young man stood behind him. The person who had called out his name was the young man standing behind him. Zhou Fei. Zhou Tong. Duan Lingtian's eyes narrowed slightly. Chapter 26:51. How could it be them? Qin Yu, who was beside Duan Lingtian, saw the two people who were descending from the sky towards them. His expression changed greatly, and he could not help but let out a cry of alarm. Of the two people before him, he had only met Zhou Fei. However, now that Zhou Fei was escorting an old man, it was not difficult for him to guess the old man's identity. The number one reverend of the county governor's estate in Nine Spectres County, Zhou Tong, Duan Lingtian, is the person in front of Zhou Fei. Zhou Tong? Although he had vaguely guessed the identity of the old man, Qin Yu still could not help but ask Duan Lingtian via voice transmission. According to what he learned from Zheng Qiu 1.5 years ago, before Duan Lingtian went into closed-door cultivation, Zhou Tong had willingly given Duan Lingtian 2 bottles of primitive celestial pills, the spirit-nourishing pills, to Duan Lingtian for the sake of the great overarching pills. How could a person's attitude change so drastically in a year and a half? The old man who descended from the sky with Zhou Fei escorting him was clearly hostile. Most importantly, the old man did not seem like a golden immortal at all. Whether it was the old man's temperament or the invisible aura he exuded, they all seemed to be telling the people around him he was not a golden immortal. They were existences that were even more powerful than golden immortals. It's Zhou Tong. Duan Lingtian replied telepathically. After receiving Duan Lingtian's confirmation, Qin Yu could not help but gasp even though he was mentally prepared. Didn't he give you 2 bottles of low-grade immortal elixir, spirit-nourishing elixir, a year and a half ago with the intention of training you, so that you could shine in the martial competition of the 16 counties? This time, he doesn't seem to have come with good intentions. In a year and a half, isn't the change in him a little too great? Said Qin Yu via voice transmission. Indeed, they don't come with good intentions. Qin Yu could see that Zhou Tong did not come with good intentions. Duan Lingtian could naturally also see that. It was to the extent that he had already guessed that those 2 people from before were most likely arranged by Zhou Tong. I was too careless. Duan Lingtian sighed inwardly. It was also because what the 2 of them said was too real and did not seem to be fake. Otherwise, he wouldn't have followed them without any warning. Naturally, other than the fact that the 2 of them did not seem to be lying, it was also because he had a strong desire for the profound grade cultivation method. If he could obtain a Xian grade cultivation method to replace his current Huang grade cultivation method, the secret crystal clearance method, his cultivation speed would reach a whole new level. Looks like those 2 people were arranged by Zhou Tong. However, from what those 2 people said, the matter of the profound grade cultivation method doesn't seem to be fake. Said Qin Yu via voice transmission. Whoosh, whoosh. At the same time, Zhou Tong and Zhou Fei had already descended from the sky and arrived at a location not far from Duan Lingtian and Qin Yu. Both of their gazes descended onto Duan Lingtian in unison. As for Qin Yu, he was completely ignored by them. Exalted Zhou Tong, what a coincidence to be able to meet you here. Duan Lingtian looked at Zhou Tong with a slight smile on his face. Unfortunately, I've been waiting for you for a long time. Zhou Tong looked at Duan Lingtian indifferently. Oh? Duan Lingtian was surprised. Duan Lingtian. At the same time, Zhou Fei, who was standing behind Zhou Tong, looked at Duan Lingtian and sneered. I really didn't expect you to have hidden yourself so well. If I hadn't gone to the Bloody Spectre City to investigate your background, I wouldn't have thought that you're someone who ascended to the spirit overarching heaven 2.5 years ago. Moreover, you're a heavenly immortal who ascended to the heavenly immortal ascension pool. When Zhou Fei finished speaking, the sneer on his face grew even wider. Whoosh! As soon as Zhou Fei finished speaking, Qin Yu, who was standing beside Duan Lingtian, had a change in expression. He had already confirmed Zhou Fei's words. However, he did not expect Zhou Fei to not only know that Duan Lingtian had only ascended to the spirit overarching heaven 2.5 years ago, but he also seemed to have confirmed this matter. At this moment, realization dawned on Qin Yu. It was no wonder Zhou Tong, the first revered elder of the county governor's estate in the Nine Spectres County, would treat Duan Lingtian so differently after 1.5 years. As it turned out, Zhou Tong knew that Duan Lingtian had only ascended to the spirit overarching heaven 2.5 years ago. It was not difficult for Qin Yu to figure out why Zhou Tong's attitude had changed. Zhou Tong must have coveted Duan Lingtian's celestial methods and divine abilities that were suspected to be at the heaven grade. Mediocre celestial pills, the great overarching pills, were insignificant compared to heaven-grade celestial methods and divine abilities. Duan Lingtian. Qin Yu's expression changed drastically. Horror dawned on Qin Yu's face when he realized the reason Zhou Tong came with ill intentions. He immediately looked at Duan Lingtian. However, he discovered that Duan Lingtian was not lying. From the beginning until the end, Duan Lingtian's expression remained calm. It was as though he could remain calm even if Mount Tai were to collapse in front of him. You're really thoughtful. To think you managed to find out about all these things. Duan Lingtian glanced at Zhou Fei indifferently. He clicked his tongue disdainfully as he said, Zhou Fei, if you'd put more effort into cultivating, you wouldn't have been so weak in front of me. Duan Lingtian's words were akin to rubbing salt on Zhou Fei's wound. Zhou Fei's expression changed drastically. Duan Lingtian, what are you so proud of? Zhou Fei's expression changed greatly. He glared at Duan Lingtian and roared, if it weren't for the fact that you've mastered heaven-grade celestial methods and divine abilities, how could you possibly be a match for me? In my eyes, you're nothing more than a lowly ascender who's been lucky. Lowly ascender? Duan Lingtian smiled. You said I'm a lowly ascender? Then, what do you count as, someone whose 4 limbs were cut off by a lowly ascender like me? Trash? Trash? The smile on Duan Lingtian's face grew even wider. Faced with Duan Lingtian's question, Zhou Fei's expression changed again and again. However, he did not know how to refute it. After all, he was indeed no match for Duan Lingtian. Furthermore, the gap between them was very large. Duan Lingtian could defeat him in a single move. Duan Lingtian, I won't argue with you. Zhou Fei said in a deep voice, after today, you'll be a dog in my foster father's cage. If he tells you to go east, you won't dare to go west. If he tells you to go south, you won't dare to go north. If you cooperate and hand over the celestial methods and divine abilities that you've mastered, you might be able to live for a few more years. If you don't, I'll make you suffer until you're willing to cooperate and hand over the celestial methods and divine abilities that you've mastered. When Zhou Fei reached the end of his sentence, a cold smile appeared on his face. His eyes gleamed brightly as though he could already see the scene of Duan Lingtian being imprisoned by his foster father. Is that so? Duan Lingtian smiled. His smile was as brilliant as ever. From the beginning until the end, there was not a trace of fear on his face. It was as though he was not afraid of Zhou Tong at all. Since you can still smile, You should seize the opportunity to smile. When my foster father makes his move, you won't be able to smile even if you want to. Zhou Fei sneered. Duan Lingtian. As soon as Zhou Fei finished speaking, Zhou Tong, who had been silent all this while, finally spoke. He looked at Duan Lingtian. His cloudy eyes suddenly brightened. I can't believe you've only ascended to the spirit overarching heaven for 2.5 years. If I'm not mistaken, you're still a heavenly celestial, right? If I say no, would you believe me, revered elder Zhou Tong? Duan Lingtian asked Zhou Tong. Humph. Before Zhou Tong could open his mouth, Zhou Fei, who was standing behind Zhou Tong, snorted coldly and said disdainfully, Duan Lingtian, who do you think you are? It's only been 2.5 years. How can a heavenly celestial like you break through and become a golden celestial? What a joke. If it weren't for the heaven-grade celestial methods and divine abilities that you've mastered, I, Zhou Fei, would only need a finger to kill you. When Zhou Fei reached the end of his sentence, his eyes were filled with disdain as he looked at Duan Lingtian. However, no matter what Zhou Fei said, Duan Lingtian did not even look at him from the beginning until the end. Duan Lingtian continued to look at Zhou Tong. It was as though only Zhou Tong, the strongest revered elder in the county governor's estate, was worthy of his attention. Zhou Fei was not worthy. Duan Lingtian. Naturally, Zhou Tong, who was completely ignored by Duan Lingtian, felt both humiliated and enraged. If looks could kill, Duan Lingtian would have died many times over. It doesn't matter if I believe it or not, you're destined to be my prisoner today, Zhou Tong said confidently as his eyes turned cold. Revered elder Zhou Tong. Even when Zhou Tong revealed his fangs, Duan Lingtian still had a calm expression, and he used an extremely casual tone to ask, if I'm not wrong, the two people that lured me and Qin Yu out of the county city were arranged by you, right? That's right, Zhou Tong replied indifferently. He was not bothered by the fact that Duan Lingtian was able to maintain his composure until now. Just like his foster son, Zhou Fei, both of them felt Duan Lingtian was only pretending to be mysterious for being able to maintain his composure until now. I'm very curious. Why is it that when they talked about the profound grade cultivation method, they were able to make it sound so real? It didn't seem fake at all. Duan Lingtian asked again. That's because everything they said was what I experienced 1.5 years ago. 1.5 years ago, I received news about a mysterious grade cultivation method and left the 9 Spectres County. When he mentioned this matter, an imperceptible look of pity flashed across Zhou Tong's face. It seems like the mysterious grade cultivation method has been taken away by someone else. What a pity. Although a look of pity flashed across Zhou Tong's face before disappearing, Duan Lingtian saw it clearly and directly pointed it out in his words. It's not a pity. Chapter 2652. About 2 years ago, Zhou Tong had secretly left the county governor's estate and the county city of 9 Spectres County after he learned about the mysterious grade cultivation method. The reason why he left secretly was because he did not want to share the profound grade cultivation technique with the princess of the 9 Spectres County. When Duan Lingtian first arrived at the county city of 9 Spectres County and severely injured Zhou Fei, Zhou Tong had just learned about the mysterious grade cultivation method and secretly left the county city of 9 Spectres County. Based on your words, revered elder Zhou Tong, it seems like you're certain I'll give you my celestial methods and divine abilities? Duan Lingtian narrowed his eyes when he heard Zhou Tong's words. You don't have to hand them over as long as you don't regret it when the time comes. Zhou Tong sneered. I have thousands of ways to make you wish you were dead. At that time, you won't be able to die even if you want to. I'd like to see if Duan Lingtian's willpower can withstand the torture I'll inflict on you. Whoosh. As soon as Zhou Tong finished speaking, celestial origin energy surged out of his body like flames and shot up into the sky. It was as though he had transformed into a god of fire. Zhou Tong stood there like a god of fire. His celestial origin energy that was comparable to a great, overarching golden celestial caused the air to tremble. Among the people present, Qin Yu and Zhou Fei, who had weaker cultivations, were pressured by the powerful aura of a great golden immortal from Zhou Tong's body. Their faces turned red, and they were a little breathless. Duan Lingtian was the only one who remained calm from the beginning until the end. It was as though he was not affected at all. The mere heavenly celestial is able to remain calm under the pressure of my aura. You, Duan Lingtian, should be proud of yourself. Zhou Tong raised an eyebrow as he looked at Duan Lingtian. He spoke as though he was looking down on Duan Lingtian. It was as though he was a god who ruled over everything while Duan Lingtian was merely an ant that he could trample on. However, Duan Lingtian ignored Zhou Tong's words. Qin Yu. Duan Lingtian looked at Qin Yu and said, Zhou Tong and Zhou Fei are here for me. You should return first. Duan Lingtian, we came here together. If you want to return, let's return together. Qin Yu knew Duan Lingtian was doing this for his own good. However, he, Qin Yu, could not abandon his friend and flee by himself when the enemy was right in front of him. Duan Lingtian. As soon as Qin Yu finished speaking and Duan Lingtian frowned, Zhou Tong snorted coldly. Both of you can forget about escaping today. Zhou Tong Duan Lingtian's sect. If he was here to kill Duan Lingtian, there was no need for him to care about Qin Yu's life. Even if Qin Yu did not die, he could complain to the county governor of Nine Spectres County. No matter how angry the county governor was, he would not make things difficult for Zhou Tong, one of the only two great overarching golden celestials in Nine Spectres County, for the sake of a dead Duan Lingtian. To the county governor, a living Duan Lingtian's value might not be any lower than Zhou Tong's. However, a dead Duan Lingtian was not as valuable as him to the county governor. However, Zhou Tong Duan Lingtian's sect did not intend to kill Duan Lingtian this time. At the very least, he did not intend to kill Duan Lingtian for the time being. Even if he wanted to kill Duan Lingtian, he would have to obtain the celestial techniques and divine abilities in Duan Lingtian's possession before he could make a move. Under such circumstances, there was no way he would allow Qin Yu to leave and report to the county governor of Nine Spectres County. Once the county governor learned that Duan Lingtian had mastered celestial techniques and divine abilities, he would definitely intervene. At that time, no matter what happened, it would not be something he wanted to see. Forget it. It's fine if you want to stay. Take care of yourself. As Duan Lingtian spoke, he glanced at Zhou Fei, who was standing behind Zhou Tong. Currently, Zhou Fei was glaring at Qin Yu like a tiger watching its prey. Feier, you kill Qin Yu. I'll capture Duan Lingtian. Zhou Tong instructed Zhou Fei. His eyes never left Duan Lingtian. It was as though Duan Lingtian was the only person in his world. Yes, father. After Zhou Fei answered, he immediately set off. He rushed toward Qin Yu to kill him. Be careful. Duan Lingtian's expression darkened. The celestial origin energy in his body surged as he tried to help Qin Yu. Before Qin Yu left the county city of Nine Spectres County, he had yet to obtain Zhou Fei's cultivation room in the latent dragon abyss. Based on this, it was clear there was still a gap between Qin Yu and Zhou Fei's strength. For this reason, Zhou Tong was worried about Qin Yu's safety. You should take care of yourself first. However, just as Duan Lingtian was about to make his move toward Zhou Fei, another figure appeared in his path. It was none other than Zhou Tong, who seemed to have transformed into a bolt of lightning and appeared before him in the blink of an eye, while his celestial origin energy surged like flames. Bang! Boom! 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 While Duan Lingtian was being held back by Zhou Tong, a loud explosion sounded from the other side. It was the sound of Qin Yu and Zhou Fei exchanging blows. Duan Lingtian looked over. He discovered that Zhou Tong was stronger than Zhou Tong. Although Zhou Fei was stronger than Qin Yu, he was not much stronger than Qin Yu. Based on the current situation, Zhou Fei won't be able to threaten Qin Yu's life within 100 moves. Duan Lingtian felt at ease when he saw this. His attention was completely focused on Zhou Tong, who was standing before him. Before he came to the county city of Nine Spectres County, he had heard about Zhou Tong from Lu Fenggu, the city governor of Bloody Spectre City. He knew that Lu Fenggu and Zhou Tong were irreconcilable enemies. Moreover, before he came to the county city of Nine Spectres County, he had made a deal with Lu Fenggu. Lu Fenggu had done his best to provide him with the best cultivation environment and resources. As for Zhou Tong, he would help Lu Fenggu capture Zhou Tong and bring him back to Bloody Spectre City for Lu Fenggu to deal with. Once Lu Fenggu killed Zhou Tong and took his revenge, Lu Fenggu would tell him where the celestial fire was. Unknowingly, Duanling Tian's eyes flashed brightly as he looked at Zhou Tong. It was as bright as the stars in the night sky. He was looking forward to the celestial fire. Duanling Tian, if you surrender, you'll suffer less. However, if you dare to resist, I'll make you suffer a fate worse than death. Zhou Tong said in a deep voice as he stared at Duanling Tian coldly. Although he was confident that he could kill Duanling Tian with his strength as a great overarching golden celestial, it would only take him one move. However, he could not kill Duanling Tian for the time being. To him, capturing Duanling Tian without killing Duanling Tian was much more difficult than killing Duanling Tian. Naturally, it was not difficult at all. He believed that as long as he unleashed his celestial origin energy, he would be able to capture Duanling Tian in just a blink of an eye, making it impossible for Duanling Tian to turn the tables. You're a great overarching golden celestial, yet you like to spout nonsense. Don't you think you're a disgrace to great overarching golden celestials? Duanling Tian said with a sneer. Elementary devouring tactic. With just a thought, Duanling Tian cast the assist-type divine ability, the elementary devouring tactic, and raised his celestial origin energy by 4 levels. When he was a heavenly celestial, the elementary devouring tactic could only raise his celestial origin energy by 3 levels. However, now that he had become a golden celestial, it was only natural that he could raise his celestial origin energy by 4 levels. After all, the elementary devouring tactic was a heaven-grade assist-type divine ability. It was also the only heaven-grade divine ability he had mastered up until now. What a powerful assist-type divine ability! It seems like his celestial origin energy has been raised by a few levels in just a blink of an eye. When Duanling Tian cast the elementary devouring tactic, Zhou Tong could clearly sense the changes in Duanling Tian's celestial origin energy. Although he could not confirm how many levels Duanling Tian's celestial origin energy had been raised, he was certain it was a high-grade divine ability. It was most likely a heaven-grade assist-type divine ability. Earth-grade assist-type divine abilities, or even lower-grade assist-type divine abilities would not be able to do this. It seems like you're really going to resist. In that case, I'll teach you a lesson. After I capture you, I'll make you suffer. Zhou Tong could tell Duanling Tian was going to fight back when he saw Duanling Tian had cast his assist-type divine ability. He was instantly enraged. Flames of anger rose in his eyes. In just a blink of an eye, it seemed as though it was going to burn everything. Bang! Accompanied by an earth-shaking boom, Zhou Tong's body shook, causing the space to rumble. Subsequently, Zhou Tong seemed to have transformed into a ball of flame as he soared across the sky and charged toward Duanling Tian. The air in his path seemed as though it would burn at any moment. Sword formation, 13 green lotus swords. Faced with Zhou Tong's ferocious attacks, Duanling Tian did not dare to be careless. He raised his hand and brought out a celestial sword. It was a primitive celestial weapon he had obtained earlier. Then, he began to cast his various techniques. He did not dare to hold back in the face of a great overarching golden celestial who was charging at him menacingly. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. As the dozen or so sword formations merged into one, the sword formation shone brightly and unleashed a terrifying force as it charged toward Zhou Tong menacingly. How's this possible? As soon as Duanling Tian used his primitive celestial weapon to attack, Zhou Tong could clearly sense it. The force of Duanling Tian's attack was stronger than all the peak golden celestials he had encountered so far. Even the inner mansion elder in the county governor's estate in Nine Spectres County, who was widely acknowledged as the strongest person below great overarching golden celestials, would not be able to unleash such a powerful attack. Although Duanling Tian's attack was not powerful enough to threaten Zhou Tong, it was still not powerful enough. However, it was not something that could be dispelled by the attacks that he had just displayed. Chapter 26:53. It seems like I've underestimated you. Zhou Tong looked at Duanling Tian with a grave expression on his face. He had only managed to neutralize Duan Lingtian's ferocious attack with all his might without using any celestial weapons. His eyes were filled with waves of inexplicable shock. He did not expect Duan Lingtian to be so powerful. Did he really just ascend to the spirit overarching heaven 2.5 years ago? Is he really just a heavenly celestial? At this moment, Zhou Tong's heart began to waver. Even a violet moon heavenly celestial who had mastered so many heaven-grade celestial methods and divine abilities would not be able to unleash such a powerful attack, right? Moreover, how could a person who had just ascended to the spirit overarching heaven 2.5 years ago become a violet moon heavenly celestial in just 2.5 years? Even if Duan Lingtian was talented and managed to ascend to the spirit overarching heaven after cultivating in the mundane realm for less than 100 years, it was still impossible for him to ascend to the spirit overarching heaven. However, it was impossible for him to improve so much in just 2.5 years, right? It seems that he has other secrets on him. Zhou Tong thought about how Duan Lingtian had only ascended to the spirit overarching heaven 2.5 years ago. He had spent a lot of effort to verify this. Therefore, he guessed Duan Lingtian had other secrets. That secret was most likely the reason why Duan Lingtian had become so powerful in just 2.5 years. Zhou Tong's breathing quickened when he thought about this. Duan Lingtian, I didn't expect you to be so powerful, Zhou Tong muttered to himself. He looked at Duan Lingtian and said in a deep voice, however, if this is the extent of your strength, you're destined to be captured by me today. I'll torture you until you wish you were dead. As he spoke, Zhou Tong's tone became increasingly cold, giving one the feeling as if one had fallen into an ice cellar. Although the power of Duan Lingtian's attack just now was greater than the full-powered attack of any peak gold immortal he had ever encountered, however, compared to his strength, there was still a gap. Earlier, the reason why he'd used his full strength to deal with Duan Lingtian's attack was only because he'd acted hastily and gained the upper hand after striking, causing him to suffer a great loss. If he was prepared and faced Duan Lingtian head-on, then even if he didn't use an immortal artifact, his full strength attack would be enough to easily defeat Duan Lingtian's attack from before. That will depend on whether you have the ability to capture me. Duan Lingtian sneered. At this time, he could roughly feel the gap between him and Zhou Tong. Even if Zhou Tong did not use his celestial artifact, he could still easily deal with the full-powered attack of his low-grade celestial artifact. However, was this really the extent of his trump card? I'll show you right away. Zhou Tong also sneered. Boom! Rumble. Zhou Tong's body swayed again as he charged toward Duan Lingtian. The flames on his body soared into the sky as if the god of fire was enraged and was about to unleash a divine punishment on the world. The movement was so great that Zhou Fei and Qin Yu, who were fighting at the side, temporarily separated from each other. They stopped fighting and looked at the flaming figure with a shocked expression on their faces. This Duan Lingtian can actually force my foster father to use such a powerful force? Although Zhou Fei's cultivation was not enough to see through his foster father's current attack, he could still faintly feel that his foster father's attack was too powerful. Even the full strength of a peak golden immortal would not be able to match the strength of his foster father's attack. Duan Lingtian could actually force his foster father to use such a powerful force? It was not only Zhou Fei. Even Qin Yu was in a similar state of shock. Earlier, Qin Yu and Zhou Fei had exchanged 20 to 30 blows. Although Qin Yu was at a disadvantage, he would not lose to Zhou Fei in a short period of time. Now that Zhou Fei had taken the initiative to stop, Qin Yu was more than happy to stop as well. On the other side, Duan Lingtian's expression turned grave as he faced Zhou Tong, who was charging at him menacingly again. The strength of the current Zhou Tong's attacks was far from what he had been capable of earlier. Even if Qin Yu were to use the same attack as before, it would be difficult for him to withstand Zhou Tong's current attack. My current strength is still slightly weaker than a great overarching golden immortal. Duan Lingtian sighed inwardly. Duan Lingtian's eyes shone brightly. However, the difference isn't that big. Whoosh! A gust of wind blew past. Duan Lingtian raised his hand and withdrew the low-grade celestial sword. Just as Zhou Tong, who was charging toward Duan Ling Tian, was puzzled by Duan Ling Tian's actions, a voice suddenly rang out. 7 orifices, exquisite sword. With just a thought, a 7-colored light rose from the center of Duan Ling Tian's right palm. Every time it rose a little, a powerful aura would sweep out in all directions. After a while, the 7-colored sword ray hovered in front of Duan Ling Tian. And it was precisely this 7-colored sword ray that gave Zhou Tong, Zhou Fei, and Qin Yu an extremely oppressive feeling the moment it appeared. This was especially true for Zhou Fei and Qin Yu. Even the powerful aura emitted by Zhou Tong, a great golden immortal, was far less oppressive than the 7-colored sword light. At this moment, the 7-colored sword ray was the focus of everyone's attention. It hovered in the air, causing everything around it to pale in comparison. This seems like an immortal artifact? What grade is this immortal artifact? Zhou Tong and the other two were shocked and confused. Sword formation. 13 green lotus swords. Faced with the descending flames that were like divine punishment, Duan Ling Tian made his move again with the help of the 7-colored sword ray that rose from his palm. In just an instant, the sword formation that was formed by thousands of sword rays shone with a dazzling 7-colored light. More than 10 7-colored sword formations whizzed out, forming a special rainbow in the void. Whoosh! In the end, the dozen or so rainbow sword formations merged into one. Their radiance increased tremendously, like a rainbow scorching sun, radiating dazzling rainbow light in all directions. Boom! 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 The moment the 7-colored sun appeared, the power of the sword formation whizzed out and slammed into the void, creating a series of deafening explosions. It was as if doomsday had arrived. Duan Ling Tian, I didn't expect you to have such a high-grade immortal artifact. However, do you think you're the only one with the immortal artifact? Zhou Tong's eyes flashed with greed. His voice became colder, causing the temperature in the surroundings to drop by a few degrees. Whoosh! 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 As Zhou Tong charged toward Duan Ling Tian, a walking stick appeared in his right hand. The flames on his body surged again, emitting an even more powerful aura. This might was not inferior to Duan Ling Tian's 7-colored sword formation that was like a blazing 7-colored sun. A mediocre celestial artifact? At this moment, it was not difficult for Duan Ling Tian to see the celestial artifact that Zhou Tong had taken out was not just a primitive celestial artifact. If it was just a primitive celestial artifact, it would not be enough to help Zhou Tong's strength catch up to his 7 orifices exquisite sword. Since it was not a primitive celestial artifact, it could only be a mediocre celestial artifact. He did not think Zhou Tong would have a prominent celestial artifact since he did not think Zhou Tong would have one. I wonder if the last stage of the Sovereign Heart Sword, the submission of 10,000 soldiers, would be able to snatch a mediocre celestial artifact like a primitive celestial artifact? While Duan Ling Tian was feeling slightly nervous, the 7-colored sword ray that bloomed like a blazing 7-colored sun emitted a mysterious aura that spread in the air at an exaggerated speed. In just a blink of an eye, it had shrouded the surrounding area. Zhou Tong was not the only one who was shrouded. Even Zhou Fei and Qin Yu were no exception. Suddenly, whoosh! Whoosh! The immortal artifacts in Zhou Tong and Qin Yu's hands were the first to bear the brunt of the impact. They flew out of their hands and were pulled into the 7-colored sword formation by a powerful invisible power. No! Impossible! At the same time, 2 shocked cries rang in the air. The mediocre celestial artifact walking stick in Zhou Tong's hand had also been snatched by the mysterious aura from Duan Ling Tian's 7-colored sword formation. The aura had injured Zhou Tong's hand and forcibly snatched the walking stick from his hand. Without the crutch to rely on, the flames on Zhou Tong's body instantly weakened a little. When Zhou Tong's mediocre celestial artifact walking stick was snatched and merged with Duan Ling Tian's 7-colored sword formation, the 7-colored sword formation finally met Zhou Tong, who was like a meteor that was shrouded in flames. Whoosh! 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 The sword whistled. The 7-colored sword ray that filled the sky illuminated the entire area. It seemed as though it had turned into a 7-colored dreamlike world in an instant. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The sound of flames raging could be heard. A huge ball of flames broke through the air. It was so powerful that it seemed as though it could burn the entire area. The two attacks collided with each other. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion was heard. A mushroom cloud rose into the air. Following that, an extremely powerful shockwave spread out along with the airwaves. It slapped Zhou Fei and Qin Yu's bodies and sent them flying far away. Furthermore, both of them were heavily injured. This was because they were relatively far away from the scene. If they were near the place where the two forces collided, that attack just now would have been enough to take their lives. No. Right at the moment when Zhou Fei and Qin Yu stopped with lingering fear in their hearts, another unreconciled cry sounded in their ears. Father! Chapter 26:54. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. When the sword formation gathered from the seven-colored sword light received Zhou Tong, it also extinguished the flames on him in a devastating manner. Moreover, it all landed on his body, leaving behind bloody holes. In just a blink of an eye, Zhou Tong looked like a hornet's nest. His entire body was filled with bloody holes, and blood was gushing out of them. After a while, the weak celestial origin energy in Zhou Tong's body began to dissipate, and the bloody holes on his body finally stopped spurting blood. Huff, 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 huff. Zhou Tong panted heavily, his forehead covered in sweat. It was because of the intense pain that came from all over his body that he broke out in cold sweat. Otherwise, with his cultivation base, it was impossible for him to sweat no matter how hot the weather was. Why didn't you kill me? Zhou Tong panted heavily as he looked at Duan Lingtian. Apart from shock and disbelief, a hint of fear could be seen in his eyes. Although Duan Lingtian's seven-colored sword ray that had gathered into a sword formation had left many hideous bloody holes on his body, causing his body to look like a hornet's nest, it was still not enough. However, during this process, the rainbow-colored sword rays seemed to have eyes. They completely avoided the vital parts of his body so that he would not die from the previous attack. Naturally, I have a use for you. In response to Zhou Tong's question, Duan Lingtian said indifferently, however, there's no need to be in such a hurry. You'll also die soon. It's just that you won't die in my hands. He did not kill Zhou Tong because he wanted to bring Zhou Tong back to Bloody Spectre City so that Lu Fenggu, the city governor, could personally kill him. At that time, not only would he be able to complete his deal with Lu Fenggu, but he would also be able to obtain information about the celestial fire from Lu Fenggu. You. Who do you want to kill me? Zhou Tong's eyes widened. Who do you think? Duan Lingtian asked. Lu Fenggu? With a flash of inspiration in his mind, Zhou Tong subconsciously uttered such a name. The reason why he thought of this name was because he couldn't think of anyone else other than Lu Fenggu. Lu Fenggu was the city lord of Bloody Spectre City. On the other hand, Duan Lingtian was from Bloody Spectre City. Exalted Zhou Tong is indeed smart. Duan Lingtian smiled faintly. Godfather, use a soul attack. Unless this Duan Lingtian possesses a prominent celestial weapon, it's impossible for him to withstand the soul attack of a great overarching golden celestial. The moment Duan Lingtian's words left his mouth, Zhou Fei, who was standing in the distance, finally regained his senses. He was stunned by the scene of Zhou Tong being defeated and severely injured by Duan Lingtian. After regaining his senses, he immediately roared out a warning to Zhou Tong. He had heard about Duan Lingtian possessing a mediocre soul defense celestial weapon from Miao Lai Long, the commander of the Silverworm Army in Bloody Spectre City. For this reason, Duan Lingtian was not afraid of soul attacks from golden celestials. However, a mediocre soul defense celestial weapon could only withstand soul attacks from golden celestials. A mediocre soul defense celestial weapon could not withstand soul attacks from a great overarching golden celestial. Only a mediocre soul defense celestial weapon could withstand soul attacks from a great overarching golden celestial. Hearing Zhou Fei's warning, Zhou Tong, who had originally thought that he was going to die and had lost all hope, suddenly had his eyes light up. They were like two resplendent stars twinkling in the night sky, dazzling and dazzling. Whoosh! In the next moment, he cast a soul attack without any hesitation. A seemingly solid flame shot out from between his eyebrows and shot toward Duan Lingtian at an extremely fast speed. Before Duan Lingtian could react, it entered Duan Lingtian's body. The seemingly solid flame was the great overarching golden celestial soul attack that Zhou Tong had cast in a hurry. After entering Duan Lingtian's body, it went straight for Duan Lingtian's soul. It looked as though it wanted to destroy Duan Lingtian's soul. However, just as the solid flame was about to reach Duan Lingtian's soul and burn Duan Lingtian's soul, a sudden change occurred. Swoosh! A small piece of metal that looked broken and inconspicuous appeared out of nowhere between the flame and Duan Lingtian's soul. It was as though it had transformed into a natural barrier that separated the two. In the next moment, the incomplete piece of metal that seemed to be constantly flickering with a mysterious light suddenly shone with a mysterious light. A powerful suction force extended from it, and as if it was trying to devour the world, it directly swallowed the seemingly solid flame that was charging at it with a ferocious momentum. After devouring the seemingly solid flame, the broken piece of metal retracted its mysterious light in a timely manner. However, the mysterious light on the broken piece of metal was much deeper and denser than before. However, since Duan Lingtian was not paying attention to this, he did not notice this. Otherwise, he would have been able to confirm one thing. That was, after devouring the soul attack, the profound light on the incomplete piece of metal seemed to undergo some strange changes. This broken piece of metal is comparable to a superior-grade celestial artifact that defends the soul. Moreover, judging from how easily it devours the soul attack of a great overarching golden celestial, this is probably not its limit. Duan Lingtian could not help but think to himself after the broken piece of metal on the side of his soul had easily devoured Zhou Tong's soul attack. Perhaps it can even devour the soul attack of someone stronger than a great overarching golden celestial. When Duan Lingtian thought of this, he could not help but inwardly gasp. This defective metal piece is the product of a jade token and a strange stone. The origin of the strange stone is unknown, but the jade token is highly valued by Ku Er's third uncle, a powerhouse from the divine offering land who's even more powerful than a heavenly emperor in a Devata realm, Duan Lingtian explained. I don't know what this defective piece of metal is, but I'm not sure what it is. Are there any secrets hidden in it? Duan Lingtian grew more and more curious about the broken piece of metal. At this moment, Duan Lingtian's attention shifted to the broken piece of metal. Gasp! 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 3 sharp inhales rang in the air in unison. The sound was particularly ear-piercing in this silent environment. Duan Lingtian regained his senses and looked at Zhou Tong, who had just attacked him with a soul attack. At this moment, Duan Lingtian's eyes flashed with killing intent as he looked at Zhou Tong. If he did not have the broken piece of metal, he would have been able to kill Zhou Tong. Zhou Tong's soul attack would have been enough to destroy his soul and take his life. Why you actually have a soul defense prominent celestial weapon? Zhou Tong stared at Duan Lingtian in shock and disbelief when he heard Zhou Fei's words. His voice trembled as he looked at Duan Lingtian. His face was filled with fear as he stuttered in fear. A prominent celestial weapon, let alone his godfather, Zhou Tong, the first revered elder of the county governor's estate in Nine Spectres County, did not have a prominent celestial weapon. Even the county governor of Nine Spectres County did not have a prominent celestial weapon. However, not only did Duan Lingtian possess a prominent celestial weapon, but it was a soul defense celestial weapon that was even rarer than ordinary celestial weapons. Oomph! Duan Lingtian snorted coldly as soon as Zhou Fei finished speaking. With a cold snort, he raised his hand like lightning and aimed it in the direction of Zhou Fei, sweeping across the sky. Swoosh! A beam of rainbow-colored sword light flashed across the sky, as if it could slice the world in half. Spurt! A soft sound rang in the air as Zhou Fei's body was sliced into 2 by the 7-colored sword ray. Zhou Fei's expression was still the same even when he was killed. It was clear he did not even have time to react to Duan Lingtian's sudden attack. Bang! Duan Lingtian struck with his palm, and his boundless celestial origin energy surged out like a torrent, destroying Zhou Fei's body that had been sliced into two. All that was left was a spatial ring that floated in the air before Duan Lingtian raised his hand and collected it. Zhou Fei, who was still alive and kicking a moment ago, had completely disappeared from this world without leaving a trace. From the beginning until the end, Zhou Tong did not dare to move at all as he stood nearby. In fact, Duan Lingtian did not use the profundity of the Sovereign Heart Sword and the divine ability, the 13 green lotus swords, when he swung his sword earlier. If Zhou Tong had made a move, he might have been able to block the attack even if he was severely injured. However, he did not dare to do so. This was because he knew if he did so, he would only infuriate Duan Lingtian. In that case, he would die even faster. Whoosh! Just as Duan Lingtian was about to put Zhou Fei's spatial ring away, a deafening sound rang in his ears. He looked in the direction of the sound and saw a streak of light shooting through the air. A flowing light left the void where Zhou Tong was at an extremely fast speed and flew toward the county city of Nine Spectres County. A communication celestial talisman? It was not difficult for Duan Lingtian to see that it was a communication celestial talisman that Zhou Tong had sent out. It was not difficult for him to guess Zhou Tong's intention for sending out the communication celestial talisman. Zhou Tong must have wanted to inform the county governor of the Nine Spectres County to send reinforcements. Moreover, the communication celestial talisman might have exposed Duan Lingtian's true identity. Duan Lingtian snorted coldly. His celestial origin energy surged out of his body and transformed into thousands of sword rays that formed a 7-colored sword formation before it shot toward the communication celestial talisman. Whoosh! 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 Chapter 26:55. The communication celestial talisman that Zhou Tong had thrown out had been personally inscribed by him. Its speed was comparable to an ordinary great golden immortal. It was not much slower than Zhou Tong's full speed. If it was someone below the level of a great golden immortal, it would be impossible for them to catch up to the communication celestial talisman, let alone intercept it. However, there were exceptions to everything. Although Duan Lingtian's cultivation base was not comparable to a great overarching golden celestial, with the help of the Devata artifact, the 7 Orifices exquisite sword, his attack was not weaker than an ordinary great overarching golden celestial. Therefore, his attack caught up to Zhou Tong's communication celestial talisman and intercepted it. This was because the 7 Orifices exquisite sword had lost its sword soul and was no longer as powerful as it was before. Otherwise, Zhou Tong's communication celestial talisman would not have been able to travel so far. Whoosh! Zhou Tong's expression changed drastically when he saw his communication celestial talisman being intercepted. When he looked at Duan Lingtian again, apart from shock and disbelief, there was only fear in his eyes. Today, before he appeared in front of Duan Lingtian, he had never thought he would end up like this. An ascender who has only ascended to the spirit overarching heaven for 2.5 years is stronger than me. How is this possible? Now, no matter how impossible it was, Zhou Tong had no choice but to accept this cruel reality. Duan Lingtian, Qin Yu muttered to himself. At the same time, when Qin Yu, who was standing at the side, looked at Duan Lingtian again, there was only shock and awe in his eyes. He knew Duan Lingtian was strong and had mastered many profound celestial techniques and mystiques. However, he did not expect Duan Lingtian to be as strong as a great golden immortal. Today, he had personally witnessed Duan Lingtian defeating Zhou Tong, the first revered elder of the county governor's mansion and one of the 2 great golden immortals in Nine Spectres County. If Duan Lingtian had not held back, Zhou Tong would have been dead. Unknowingly, besides shock, the gaze Qin Yu shot at Duan Lingtian also contained a sense of unfamiliarity. He felt as though Duan Lingtian was a stranger to him at this moment. Was this really the Duan Lingtian he knew? It was as though he was possessed by a god. Qin Yu, are you coming with me to Bloody Spectre City? Or should I send you back to the county city first? Duan Lingtian asked Qin Yu with a smile on his face after he controlled the 7-colored sword formation to hover around Zhou Tong. It was as though it had transformed into a cage that imprisoned Zhou Tong. He planned to bring Zhou Tong to Lu Feng, the city lord of Bloody Spectre City, to the city lord of Bloody Spectre City. Not to mention, before he came to the county city of Nine Spectres County, he had never thought of such a thing. He had done Golden Immortal Duan since Duan Ling Tian, in Duan Ling Tian, Dun Ling Tian, in Duan Du Dash, in Duan Ling Tian. When Duan Ling Tian suddenly spoke to Qin Yu regained his senses. After Duan Ling Tian asked again, Qin Yu replied, "I'll go with you to Bloody Spectre City." Okay. Duan Ling Tian nodded. Then, he controlled a 7-colored sword formation to restrain Zhou Tong and another 7-colored sword formation to carry him and Qin Yu toward Bloody Spectre City at a speed comparable to a great overarching golden celestial. Duan Ling Tian, as long as you release me, I, Zhou Tong, am willing to recognize you as my master. Even if you want to become the county governor of Nine Spectres County, I can still help you. Zhou Tong, who was imprisoned by Duan Ling Tian, could smell the scent of death when he saw Duan Ling Tian bringing him to Bloody Spectre City. He immediately lowered his head and said humbly, "I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I'll die soon. Help me become the county governor of Nine Spectres County?" Duan Ling Tian smiled. He narrowed his eyes and looked at Zhou Tong indifferently. "Zhou Tong, if you have the ability to help me become the county governor of Nine Spectres County, would you still be a mere revered elder of the county governor's estate? Do you really think I'm a 3-year-old child?" A hint of mockery could be heard in Duan Lingtian's voice when he spoke. If Zhou Tong had the ability to help Duan Lingtian become the county governor of Nine Spectres County, why didn't he do it himself? "Duan Lingtian, although you're strong, you're only evenly matched with Tian Jiyu, the county governor of Nine Spectres County. If I help you, it won't be impossible for us to kill Tian Jiyu if we join forces," Zhou Tong said. "Haha," Duan Lingtian chuckled when he heard Zhou Tong's words. "Who can guarantee that you won't join forces with the county governor of Nine Spectres County to attack me at that time?" Zhou Tong's expression darkened when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. He had really thought about this before. However, he had a better plan. He wanted to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. "You must believe me." Zhou Tong was not confident when he said this. However, he still braced himself and said, "If you become the county governor of Nine Spectres County, you won't have to worry about cultivation resources in the future. At that time, you'll be able to enjoy supreme authority in Nine Spectres County." Although the Nine Spectres County is under King Qin's mansion, King Qin's mansion usually doesn't interfere with the matters in Nine Spectres County. As long as you become the county governor of Nine Spectres County, you'll have the final say in Nine Spectres County. Zhou Tong began to tempt Duan Lingtian with the title of county governor of Nine Spectres County. "I'm sorry. I'm not interested." Duan Lingtian could not be bothered to waste his breath on Zhou Tong, since they were about to arrive at Bloody Spectre City. "I was just teasing you earlier. Do you really think I can't see through your little scheme?" He had only spoken to Zhou Tong earlier because he was bored. 2 years ago, when he was still in Bloody Spectre City, he already knew that the county governor of Nine Spectres County had to be appointed. Similarly, if one wanted to become the city governor of Bloody Spectre City, one had to obtain the approval of the county governor of Nine Spectres County. Similarly, if one wanted to become the county governor of Nine Spectres County, one had to obtain the approval of King Qin from King Qin's mansion. If he killed the county governor of Nine Spectres County, he would be hunted down by King Qin's mansion. When Zhou Tong tried to tempt him with the title of county governor of Nine Spectres County, he knew Zhou Tong was up to no good. Perhaps, Zhou Tong would not join forces with the county chief of the Nine Spectres County to deal with Duan Ling Tian. However, if the county governor of Nine Spectres County died, Zhou Tong could push all the blame to him and ask King Qin's mansion to deal with him. At that time, he would be hunted down by King Qin's mansion. It would be impossible for him to stay in Nine Spectres County. At that time, Zhou Tong would be able to reap the benefits. He had long guessed Zhou Tong's intention, but he did not point it out. When Zhou Tong heard Duan Lingtian said he was only teasing him because he was bored, he was so angry that he almost threw up blood. His expression was unsightly as well. At the same time, his gaze began to sweep the surroundings with the intention of looking for a flaw in the 7-colored sword formation that imprisoned him so that he could charge out and escape with his life. At this moment, His injuries had mostly healed. Although he was not confident he would be able to escape, he was still confident he would be able to escape. What? Are you trying to escape? When the outline of Bloody Spectre City appeared in front of Duan Lingtian suddenly said coldly as he looked at Zhou Tong. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Duan Lingtian's cold shout scared Zhou Tong so much that he panicked. At the same time, he retracted his gaze guiltily. Humph! When Zhou Tong retracted his gaze, Duan Lingtian's cold snort resonated in the air. In the next moment, swoosh, 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 along with the ear-piercing sound of swords whistling in the air, it was as though the seven-colored sword formations under Duan Lingtian's feet had eyes of their own as they charged toward Zhou Tong, who was imprisoned by another seven-colored sword formation. No! Zhou Tong's expression changed drastically when he saw Duan Lingtian attacking him. His celestial origin energy surged out of his body like flames. However, although he had recovered quite a bit from his injuries, he was still far from being at his peak. The celestial origin energy that rose from his body was instantly destroyed by Duan Lingtian's seven-colored sword formation. The seven-colored sword formation under Duan Lingtian's feet and the seven-colored sword formation that imprisoned Zhou Tong were both created by Duan Lingtian. For this reason, the former did not face any resistance when it entered the latter. Spurt, spurt, spurt. A series of crisp sounds rang out. It was the seven-colored sword light that had gathered into the seven-colored sword formation. Once again, it left hideous and terrifying bloody holes on Zhou Tong's body, piercing him into a hornet's nest. At the same time, just like before, the seven-colored sword formations that rained down on Zhou Tong avoided all the vital points on his body, so his life was not in danger. Due to this, Zhou Tong could only use his celestial origin energy to heal his injuries. At this moment, the aura on Zhou Tong's body weakened once again. Duan Ling Tian. When Zhou Tong finally caught his breath, his forehead was drenched in cold sweat. When he looked at Duan Lingtian again, he gritted his teeth. It was as though he wanted to pounce on Duan Lingtian and bite off a piece of his flesh to vent his anger. Duan Lingtian's actions had cut off Zhou Tong's escape route. With his current state, it was utterly impossible for him to escape under Duan Lingtian's nose. Duan Lingtian completely ignored Zhou Tong's gnashing of teeth. To him, Zhou Tong was merely a person who was about to die. A great overarching golden celestial. He's a great overarching golden celestial. As for Qinyu, who stood to the side, although he had a calm expression the entire time as he watched the development in front of him, waves of shock had been raised in his heart. After all, Zhou Tong was a great overarching golden celestial. Chapter 2656. As the seven-colored light streaked across the sky like a rainbow, the entire Bloody Spectre City was in an uproar. What's that? What's that seven-colored light? It seems to be heading in the direction of the city governor's mansion. Such momentum. Could it be that an expert has come to our Bloody Spectre City? Could it be a friend of the city governor? Everyone in Bloody Spectre City who saw the seven-colored light in the sky looked in the direction the seven-colored light was pointing at. It was the direction of the city governor's mansion. Bloody Spectre City, city governor's mansion. The seven-colored light that resembled a god had alarmed the entire Bloody Spectre City and the city governor's mansion. Everyone in the city governor's mansion watched as the seven-colored light landed outside the main hall of the city governor's mansion. Senior, pardon me for not coming out to welcome you. May I know why you've come to our Bloody Spectre City? Almost as soon as the seven-colored light landed outside the main hall of the city governor's mansion, a loud voice filled with nervousness could be heard from afar. A moment later, a tall figure flew over from afar like a ghost. In just a blink of an eye, he arrived at the entrance of the main hall of the city governor's mansion. However, when he saw the two people on the other side of the seven-colored light, he was stunned. Behind the tall figure, an old and aged figure appeared. It was an old man. When he saw the two people on the side of the seven-colored light, he was just as stunned as the former. He couldn't come back to his senses for a long time. Previously, The seven-colored light had descended from outside the bloody specter city and landed in the city governor's mansion. It was so majestic that it caused one's heart to palpitate. In their opinion, only a great overarching golden celestial or above would be able to cause such a commotion. Before they appeared, they did not know who this expert was or why he had come. Hence, their hearts were filled with anxiety and uneasiness. This could be heard from the anxious voice that the owner of the tall figure let out before he appeared. Now that they saw the two people in front of them, they heaved a sigh of relief. However, they were also stunned. This was because they knew the two young men in front of them. Duan Lingtian, Qin Yu. The tall figure was none other than Lu Fenggu, the city governor of Bloody Spectre City. He looked at the two young men standing in front of him with a smile on their faces. Although he regained his senses, it took him a long time to recover from his shock. Never in his wildest dreams would he have thought the two great overarching golden celestials who had come to the city governor's estate were the two young talents who had left Bloody Spectre City 2 years ago. Duan Lingtian, Qin Yu. City Lord, I've returned this time to complete our deal. Duan Lingtian raised his hand as he looked at Lu Fenggu. Immediately, the seven-colored radiance around Lu Fenggu and Qin Yu faded slightly. Not only did it reveal the complete state of the sword formation, but it also revealed the imprisoned figure in front of Lu Fenggu and the old man beside him. The old man beside Lu Fenggu was none other than Elder Hong, the leader of the Golden Serpent Guards. He was the strongest person under Lu Fenggu and was widely acknowledged as the second strongest person in Bloody Spectre City. Swoosh, swoosh. When they saw the old figure imprisoned in the gradually fading seven-colored light, their expressions changed. Their pupils constricted at the same time, and the depths of their eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. This, Lu Fenggu and Elder Hong's throats moved, and they couldn't accept the reality in front of them for a long time. They hadn't seen the person imprisoned by the rainbow light for many years, but his appearance and figure hadn't changed in the slightest, so they were able to recognize him right away. It was none other than Zhou Tong, the first revered elder of the county governor's estate in Nine Spectres County. To Lu Fenggu, even if the person before him was reduced to ashes, he would still be able to recognize him. This was because Zhou Tong was the enemy he had been longing to kill all these years. Lu Fenggu, how dare you? At the same time, Zhou Tong, who was trapped by the seven-colored sword formation, glared at Lu Fenggu as he said coldly, "How dare you find someone to deal with me? If I knew this day would come, I wouldn't have spared your life for the sake of the county governor." From Zhou Tong's point of view, it was precisely because he had spared Lu Fenggu's life that this calamity had befallen him. However, he did not expect that Lu Fenggu would be so ruthless. If Duan Lingtian did not want to let Lu Fenggu deal with him, he would have killed Lu Fenggu outside the county city of Nine Spectres County. This time, Lu Fenggu was the one who had provoked Duan Lingtian. Even if Duan Lingtian did not make a deal with Lu Fenggu, he would still be doomed. Zhou Tong's voice rang in Lu Fenggu's ears like thunder, causing him to feel pain in his eardrums. Lu Fenggu, who had been wondering if he was dreaming, came back to his senses. At the same time, he confirmed that he was not dreaming. "I'm not dreaming. I'm not dreaming," Lu Fenggu muttered. After regaining his senses, Lu Fenggu looked at Zhou Tong, who was glaring at him. Suddenly, Lu Fenggu smiled brightly. Ha 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 ha. In the end, Lu Fenggu could not help but laugh out loud. Whoosh! While Lu Fenggu was laughing loudly, Old Hong, who was standing next to him, regained his senses and left Lu Fenggu's side in a flash to prevent the city lord's mansion's guards, who had heard the commotion, from approaching. Today's matter concerned Zhou Tong, the first revered elder of the county governor's estate in Nine Spectres County. The fewer people who knew about this, the better. If he was not careful, he might anger the county governor of Nine Spectres County and bring disaster to the city governor of Bloody Spectre City. Zhou Tong, to think you would have such a day. You didn't even dream that you would have such a day, right? Lu Fenggu looked at Zhou Tong and laughed heartily. His tone was filled with relief and joy. Duan Lingtian and Qin Yu stood to the side and watched quietly. Duan Lingtian had long known about the grudge between Lu Fenggu and Zhou Tong. Therefore, he was not surprised. On the other hand, Qin had also heard about the grudge between Lu Fenggu and Zhou Tong from Duanlingtian on their way back to Bloody Spectre City. However, when he learned about the grudge between Lu Fenggu and Zhou Tong and the deal between Duanlingtian and Lu Fenggu, the doubts he had when he was still in Bloody Spectre City were easily solved. He finally understood why Lu Fenggu was here. Why did Lu Fenggu take such good care of Duanlingtian and allow Duanlingtian to cultivate in his cultivation room? One must know that even the commander of the Black Dragon Army and the Silverworm Army, Lu Fenggu's right-hand man, did not receive such treatment. Lu Fenggu, if you dare to touch me, Lord County Governor will make sure you die a graveless death. When Zhou Tong saw the murderous intent in Lu Fenggu's eyes as he laughed, his expression changed drastically. He wanted to use the county governor of Nine Spectres County to threaten Lu Fenggu so that Lu Fenggu would not dare to attack him. If I can kill you, I won't have any regrets even if Lord County Governor wants to kill me. Lu Fenggu stopped laughing when he heard the threat in Zhou Tong's words. He looked at Zhou Tong with a calm expression as he spoke. At this moment, Lu Fenggu looked as though he had seen through life and death. Whoosh! Seeing that Lu Fenggu was not lying, Zhou Tong's expression changed greatly. When he spoke again, he no longer threatened Lu Fenggu. Instead, he begged, Lu, City Lord Lu, I know that what I did back then was wrong to you and your personal disciple. How about this? If you're willing to spare my life and ask Duanlingtian to let me go, I'm willing to search for a better direct disciple to compensate you. Also, if there's anything else you want as compensation, I can promise you anything. At this moment of life and death, the usually arrogant Zhou Tong had completely lowered his arrogant head. He wagged his tail and begged for mercy in front of Lu Fenggu, an ant that he had always looked down on. You're going to search for a better direct disciple to compensate me? Lu Fenggu laughed. His laughter was brilliant and maniacal. Unknowingly, tears flowed from his eyes and covered his face. However, his eyes were filled with cold killing intent. His killing intent had reached its peak. Do you think that my personal disciple, whom I have groomed since young, whom I see as my own son, can be replaced by anyone? Lu Fenggu looked at Zhou Tong, and the smile on his face turned into a cold sneer. Zhou Tong was about to say something when he heard Lu Fenggu's voice. Duanlingtian. Lu Fenggu glared at Duanlingtian as killing intent surged out of his eyes. Duanlingtian knew what Lu Fenggu wanted him to do. With just a thought, the seven-colored sword formation shone brightly. No. When the seven-colored light surged, Zhou Tong seemed to have realized something. His expression changed again as he let out a mournful roar. Boom! Celestial origin energy surged out of Zhou Tong's body as he struggled for his life. However, the current Zhou Tong was severely injured after all. Even if he struggled, it was futile in front of Duanlingtian's seven-colored sword formation. Swoosh! 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 The seven-colored sword formation suddenly shrank as tens of thousands of sword rays shot out. After destroying Zhou Tong's surging celestial origin energy, the sword rays pierced into his body, leaving bloody holes on his body. The hornet's nest had appeared again. Although Zhou Tong's vital organs were not injured, he was severely injured and was on the verge of death. Humph! With a cold snort, Lu Fenggu, who was standing at the side, made his move when Zhou Tong was on the verge of death. Swoosh! Lu Fenggu's palm moved and took Zhou Tong's life. A great overarching golden celestial had died just like that. Chapter 2657. Zhou Tong, a great overarching golden celestial and the number one revered elder of the county governor's estate, had died in Bloody Spectre City, one of the 9 cities in Nine Spectres County. He had died in the hands of Lu Fenggu, the city governor of Bloody Spectre City. If news of this spread, it would undoubtedly cause a commotion in Nine Spectres County. However, due to the interference of Lu Fenggu's subordinate, Elder Hong, only Elder Hong, Duanlingtian, Lu Fenggu, and Qin Yu knew about what had happened outside the main hall of the city governor's estate. Qianer, did you see that? Master has avenged you. After killing Zhou Tong, Lu Fenggu became agitated. He lifted his head and looked in the direction of the 9 Spectres County's county city as he muttered to himself. City Governor. Although Duan Lingtian did not want to disturb Lu Fenggu, he had no choice but to speak up. Why didn't I sense any trace of the floating image celestial talisman when you killed Zhou Tong? Duan Lingtian's expression turned solemn immediately. Although Tian Jiyu, the county governor of 9 Spectres County, would not make things difficult for Lu Fenggu in consideration of Lu Fenggu's value in the martial competition of the 16 counties. However, Tianji, you might make things difficult for Lu Fenggu. Perhaps, if Duan Lingtian interceded on Lu Fenggu's behalf, Tianji, you would not make things difficult for Lu Fenggu for the time being. However, as time went on, it was hard to say. After all, he could not stay in 9 Spectres County and protect Lu Fenggu forever. He doesn't have the floating image celestial talisman on him. Don't worry. Lu Fenggu regained his senses when he heard Duan Lingtian's anxious words. He shook his head and replied to Duan Lingtian. He doesn't have the floating image celestial talisman on him? Duan Lingtian was stunned. Duan Lingtian. Before Duan Lingtian could say anything, Qinyu, who was standing beside Duan Lingtian, said to Duan Lingtian, the floating image immortal talisman can easily block the power of the talisman. Generally speaking, those who can kill Zhou Tong are great overarching golden celestials. Therefore, it's meaningless to place the floating image celestial talisman on him. Perhaps your current cultivation base is not that of a great overarching golden celestial, but the attack you can cast is not weaker than an ordinary great overarching golden celestial. In fact, it's even stronger than an ordinary great overarching golden celestial. This can be seen from how you were able to defeat and imprison Zhou Tong. Didn't you intercept Zhou Tong's immortal message talisman? You could even intercept his immortal message talisman. This means that it would be easy for you to intercept the floating image immortal talisman. Qinyu finished speaking in a single breath. I see. I thought he had a floating image immortal talisman on him, but I didn't notice it. Duan Lingtian heaved a sigh of relief when he heard Qinyu's words. Bang! At the same time, Lu Fenggu raised his hand and destroyed Zhou Tong's corpse, leaving only a spatial ring lying on the ground. Lu Fenggu raised his hand, and an invisible force pulled the spatial ring over to Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian did not stand on ceremony and accepted the spatial ring without any hesitation. He knew that there was no point in being courteous. Given Lu Fenggu's character, he would never take Zhou Tong's spatial ring for himself. In his opinion, the spatial ring belonged to him, Duan Lingtian. That was the truth. Therefore, he did not stand on ceremony. Come in and have a seat. After destroying Zhou Tong's corpse, Lu Fenggu invited Duan Lingtian and Qinyu into the main hall of the city lord's mansion. He even invited Duan Lingtian to the main seat. However, Duan Lingtian did not sit on the main seat. Instead, he sat on the lower side of the main seat. Qinyu followed suit and sat next to Duan Lingtian. Upon seeing this, Lu Fenggu sat opposite Duan Lingtian on the other side of the main seat. Perhaps Duan Lingtian was not a great overarching golden celestial yet. However, in Lu Fenggu's opinion, Duan Lingtian was no different from a great overarching golden celestial. Naturally, Lu Fenggu did not dare to be careless in front of such a person. Moreover, Duan Lingtian had just avenged him. As soon as Lu Fenggu sat down, a gust of wind blew into the main hall. Elder Hong, the leader of the Golden Serpent Guards, had returned. After he entered the main hall, he appeared behind Lu Fenggu and stood quietly, guarding him. Duan Lingtian, you really gave me a big surprise. After Elder Hong returned, Lu Fenggu looked at Duan Lingtian for a long time before he finally spoke. It took me 2 years. I'm sorry to have kept you waiting, City Lord. Duan Lingtian said with a smile on his face. Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's words, the corners of Qinyu, Lu Fenggu, and Elder Hong's mouths twitched uncontrollably. When they looked at Duan Lingtian again, they could not help but roll their eyes. A heavenly celestial who had ascended to the spirit overarching heaven for half a year had killed a great overarching golden celestial in just 2 years. If news of this spread out, the entire spirit overarching heaven would be shaken. However, when Duan Lingtian mentioned it, It was as though it was not worth mentioning at all. They could not help but roll their eyes. Duan Lingtian, you don't know this? Half a year ago, Lord City Lord was still worried about your safety. He was afraid you'd die in Zhou Tong's hands before you could grow stronger. Elder Hong sighed as he looked at Duan Lingtian. Who would have thought you would return from the county city of Nine Spectres County with Zhou Tong, who was severely injured by you? You even helped Lord City Lord kill Zhou Tong to avenge young Master Qian. Die in Zhou Tong's hands? Duan Lingtian was stunned again. Soon after, Duan Lingtian learned about what had happened half a year ago from Lu Fenggu. Could it be that Zhou Tong knew that I had only ascended to the spirit overarching heaven 2.5 years ago? So he deliberately came to the Bloody Spectre City and went to the Silver Dragon Army. However, that Zhou Tong was truly ruthless. In order to spread the news that I had only ascended to the spirit overarching heaven 2.5 years ago, he actually nearly annihilated the entire Silver Dragon Army. At this moment, Duan Lingtian finally knew how Zhou Tong knew that he had ascended to the spirit overarching heaven 2.5 years ago. Furthermore, there was another matter that shocked him even more. Because of this, Zhou Tong actually nearly annihilated the entire Silver Dragon Army. Zhou Tong has always been vicious and merciless. It's only because you're stronger than him. If you weren't, you would have likely been under his control. Lu Fenggu said. Duan Lingtian nodded. He deeply agreed with Lu Fenggu's words. Elder Hong, you can withdraw first? I have some words that I wish to speak with Duan Lingtian alone. Although Lu Fenggu's words were directed at Elder Hong, his eyes were trained on Qin Yu, who was sitting next to Duan Lingtian. Yes, Lord City Governor. Elder Hong acknowledged Lu Fenggu's words and withdrew. Lord City Governor, Duan Lingtian, I'll take my leave as well. Qin Yu tactfully withdrew from the Great Hall. For a time, only Duan Lingtian and Lu Fenggu were left in the Great Hall. Whoosh! Lu Fenggu moved like the wind and rose from his seat in just a blink of an eye. He appeared in front of Duan Lingtian and bowed at a 90-degree angle. Lord City Governor, you. Duan Lingtian was so shocked by Lu Fenggu that he rose to his feet. Duan Lingtian, thank you. Lu Fenggu straightened his back and looked at Duan Lingtian solemnly. City Lord, there's no need for you to thank me. This is a deal we made 2 years ago. You gave me the best cultivation environment in Bloody Spectre City and gave me the best cultivation resources in return for killing Zhou Tong. We don't owe each other anything. Duan Lingtian shook his head. I know that you and I had a deal before. However, this deal, to a certain extent, caused you to suffer a great loss. Lu Fenggu shook his head. There's nothing to lose. Since I agreed to the deal you proposed, it means that I was tempted by the conditions you offered. Duan Lingtian continued to shake his head. No matter what, I still have to say thank you. Lu Fenggu said stubbornly. Duan Lingtian smiled bitterly. Fortunately, I promised to tell you the clues about the celestial fire I encountered all those years ago after you helped me kill Zhou Tong and avenge my direct disciple. Otherwise, I really wouldn't know how to repay you. Lu Fenggu mentioned the celestial fire that he had mentioned to Duan Lingtian before. This time, Duan Lingtian did not deny Lu Fenggu's words. His eyes lit up and his breathing quickened. 2 years ago, he had heard about the celestial fire from Lu Fenggu. He knew the celestial fire was extraordinary. It was not as simple as a primitive celestial fire. Now, I'll tell you where I found the celestial fire. It's located in a remote area. Logically speaking, it's impossible for anyone to find it. Lu Fenggu looked at Duan Lingtian before he added, naturally, we can't rule out the possibility that someone has discovered that place. You have to be mentally prepared, so you won't be surprised when you discover it. All right, Duan Lingtian nodded. Soon after, Duan Lingtian learned the location of the celestial fire from Lu Fenggu. It was located in another direction of the county city of Nine Spectres County. If Duan Lingtian wanted to go there, he would have to return to the county city of Nine Spectres County first. City Governor, if there's nothing else, I'll take my leave first. After learning about the location of the celestial fire, Duan Lingtian did not want to stay in Bloody Spectre City any longer. He was eager to find the celestial fire. It was as though he was afraid someone would beat him to it. All right, Lu Fenggu nodded. He could understand how Duan Tian felt at this moment. However, before Duan Tian left, he still warned Duan Tian with a solemn expression. Chapter 2658. Duan Tian could clearly feel the change in Lu Fenggu's attitude toward him. Even the way Lu Fenggu addressed him had changed. It was not difficult for Duan Tian to guess the reason for such a change. It must be because his current strength was on par with a great overarching golden celestial now. In Lu Fenggu's eyes, Duan Tian was no different from a great overarching golden celestial. Duan Tian, why are you in such a hurry to go back? It's rare for you to come back. Aren't you going to stay for a few more days? Qin Yu asked Duan Tian curiously after they left Bloody Spectre City. He felt Duan Tian was in too much of a hurry. The martial competition of the 16 counties will be held in King Qin's mansion in a year's time. In the following year, I'd like to spend more time cultivating. Duan Tian did not mention the celestial fire to Qin Yu. He simply made up an excuse and said he was in a hurry to return to the county city of 9 Spectres County to cultivate. Martial competition of the 16 counties? Qin Yu was stunned when he heard Duan Tian's words. Then, he smiled wryly and said, I almost forgot about it if you didn't mention it. However, with your current strength, who's going to be a match for you in the martial competition of the 16 counties? After all, one of the conditions to participate in the martial competition of the 16 counties is that the participants can't be more than 100 years old. Let alone the entire King Qin's mansion. I don't think anyone under the age of 100 is a match for you in the entire Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom, right? Qin Yu said. He had witnessed Duan Tian's strength with his own eyes. Perhaps, Duan Tian's cultivation base had not reached the level of a great overarching golden celestial, but his strength was on par with an ordinary great overarching golden celestial. Even Zhou Tong, the first revered elder of the county governor's mansion, who was a yellow-rank great overarching golden celestial, had died in Duan Tian's hands. In addition, Duan Tian also had a soul defense high-grade immortal artifact, which allowed him to be unafraid of the soul attack of a Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal. Because of this, it also meant that Duan Tian had a strength that was not weaker than a Golden Immortal, and it was enough to crush almost all the existences at the Golden Immortal level. Even in the entire Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom, they had never heard of such a thing before. Who could break through to the great overarching Golden Celestial stage before the age of 100? Nothing is absolute. After hearing Qin Yu's words, Duan Tian realized the flaw in his excuse and quickly tried to remedy it. As the saying goes, there is always someone better than you. Until the end, who can be sure that there won't be someone who is better than me in the martial competition of the 16 counties? Once Duan Tian said those words, Qin Yu immediately grew silent. Even so, he still felt that it was unlikely for such a person to exist. However, just as Duan Tian had said, he did not dare to be 100% certain until the end. There would not be anyone stronger than Duan Tian in the martial competition of the 16 counties. They did not speak for the rest of the journey. Duan Tian and Qin Yu successfully returned to the county city of 9 Spectres County after dealing with the 2 groups of people who tried to stop them. On the other hand, those 2 groups of ignorant people had become dead souls under Duan Tian's sword. Qin Yu, I still have some matters to attend to. You can return to the county governor's mansion first. After returning to the county city, Duan Tian bid farewell to Qin Yu. Before Qin Yu could react, Duan Tian had already disappeared from Qin Yu's sight. Although Qin Yu did not know why Duan Tian left, he could tell that Duan Tian did not want him to follow him. Therefore, he tactfully returned to the county governor's mansion alone to cultivate in the stone chamber in the latent dragon abyss. Now that Zhou Fei is dead, his cultivation stone room is mine. After returning to the county governor's mansion, Qin Yu's eyes lit up when he thought about this. In the latent dragon abyss, Zhou Fei's stone chamber was second only to Duan Tian's. I heard that revered elder Zhou Tong died not long after Zhou Fei died. Is this true? Isn't revered elder Zhou Tong a great overarching golden celestial? Qin Yu heard a surprised voice on his way back to the latent dragon abyss after he entered the county governor's mansion. He turned around and saw 3 guards from the county governor's mansion whispering to each other as they walked side by side. It seems like the county governor's mansion already knows about Zhou Fei and Zhou Tong's deaths. However, this is normal. After all, they must have stored soul pearls in the county governor's mansion. The county governor must have Zhou Tong's soul pearl as well. If Zhou Tong's soul pearl breaks, the county governor will know immediately. Qin Yu thought to himself, "Revered Elder Zhou Tong has died? Who did you hear this from?" It seems like Revered Elder Zhou Tong has died. The 2 elders from the county governor's mansion accidentally leaked the news when they were talking. If Revered Elder Zhou Tong has really died, it means the person who killed him must be a great overarching golden celestial. There are only 2 great overarching golden celestials in the 9 Spectres County. Apart from Revered Elder Zhou Tong, there's only Lord County Governor. That person is definitely not from the 9 Spectres County. I just don't know why he killed Revered Elder Zhou Tong. The 3 guards from the county governor's mansion whispered to each other as they walked. Their voices gradually became softer as they walked further away from Qin Yu. Not from the 9 Spectres County? Qin Yu smiled faintly. If the 3 guards were to find out that Revered Elder Zhou Tong had died in the hands of Duanling Tian, their jaws would probably drop to the ground. In the main hall of the county governor's mansion. "Lord County Governor, have you found out who killed Revered Elder Zhou Tong?" Zhang Qiu asked in a hushed voice as he looked at Tian Jiyu, the county governor of the 9 Spectres County. The other elders standing next to Zhang Qiu turned to look at Tian Jiyu. They wanted to know if the county governor of the 9 Spectres County had found out who killed their number 1 Revered Elder Zhou Tong. No. Tian Jiyu shook his head. Tian Jiyu shook his head with a dark expression on his face. The person who killed Revered Elder Zhou Tong is clearly much stronger than him. Otherwise, he wouldn't have failed to send a communication celestial talisman back. The only thing we're certain of is that Revered Elder Zhou Tong was killed not long after Zhou Fei's death. Even if they weren't killed by the same person, they must have been killed by the same group of people. Otherwise, it wouldn't be so coincidental. Tianji Yu continued to speak. Zhang Qiu and the other elders nodded in agreement upon hearing Tianji Yu's words. Indeed, it was impossible for it to be so coincidental. Zhou Tong's foster son had died not long ago, and his foster father had died as well. Their deaths must be closely related to each other. Lord County Governor. At this moment, one of the elders looked at Tianji Yu and said, "We don't know when Revered Elder Zhou Tong left the county governor's mansion. However, I did find out that when Zhou Fei left the county governor's mansion, there were 2 people in the latent dragon abyss who had left the county governor's mansion before him." "Who?" Tianji Yu asked in a deep voice. "Duan Lingtian and Qin Yu." The inner house elder continued. Tianji Yu laughed when he heard the elder's words. "What? Are you trying to say that Revered Elder Zhou Tong and Revered Elder Zhou Fei's deaths have something to do with them? I'm not sure about that. I just think it's a coincidence." Coincidentally, Zhou Fei and Duan Lingtian had a feud. The elder continued to speak. Zhou Fei hated Duan Lingtian, but Elder Zhou Tong had already made up his mind to groom Duan Lingtian 1.5 years ago, so that Duan Lingtian would shine in the martial competition of the 16 counties that will be held in King Qin's mansion a year later. Even if Zhou Fei hated Duan Lingtian, he didn't have the strength or the courage to provoke Duan Lingtian. Tianji Yu said nonchalantly. As for Qin Yu, although he came from Bloody Spectre City with Duan Lingtian, there's no enmity between him and Zhou Fei. Moreover, with his strength, it's impossible for him to kill Zhou Fei. Tianji Yu continued to speak. However, other than the 2 of them, I really don't know how to investigate this matter. The inner mansion elder smiled wryly. As he reached the end of his sentence, his eyes flashed and he carefully asked, "Lord Prefectural Governor, should we investigate them?" "It's useless to investigate them. There's no need for that," Tianji Yu said as he shook his head. Naturally, the reason Tianji Yu made such a decision was because Duan Lingtian was Duan Lingtian's only hope. Duan Lingtian was his hope of obtaining the mediocre celestial pill, the great overarching pill. He did not want to disturb Duan Lingtian because of this matter. Otherwise, even if he did not suspect Duan Lingtian had anything to do with Zhou Fei and Zhou Tong's deaths, he would still investigate Duan Lingtian. Duan Ling Tian was unaware that he had brushed past the county governor's estate's investigation into Zhou Fei and Zhou Tong's deaths. Naturally, even if he knew, he would not care. In his opinion, even if the county governor's estate investigated him, they would not be able to find anything. Since the Silverworm Army in Bloody Spectre City was almost annihilated by Zhou Tong, the only people who could confirm his identity were Lu Fenggu, the city governor of Bloody Spectre City, Elder Hong, the leader of the Golden Serpent Guards, and Qin Yu. He believed the three of them would not betray him. Moreover, even if the three of them betrayed him, they would not be able to provide any evidence to prove he was capable of killing Zhou Tong. Taking 10,000 steps back, even if Tian Jiyu, the county governor of Nine Spectres County, could confirm he was the one who killed Zhou Tong, Tian Jiyu would not make things difficult for him before the martial competition of the 16 counties in King Qin's mansion ended. As for whether Tian Jiyu would still be able to make things difficult for him after the martial competition of the 16 counties ended, that was another matter. In the opposite direction of Nine Spectres County's Bloody Spectre City, there was a vast mountain range about 100,000 miles away from the Bloody Spectre City. Standing in the air above the mountain range, one could only see towering mountains and precipitous ridges. If City Governor Lu didn't tell me the exact location of the celestial fire, even if I knew it was here, with my current divine consciousness, I wouldn't be able to find it even if I searched for dozens or hundreds of years, Duan Lingtian thought to himself. Chapter 2659. With Governor Lu's reminder, it won't be difficult for me to locate the celestial fire. Duan Lingtian's eyes flashed as he looked in a certain direction. At the same time, an excited expression flashed across the depths of his eyes, appearing exceptionally conspicuous. It's over there. Duan Lingtian followed the direction Lu Fenggu had told him and arrived at the foot of an inconspicuous mountain in just a blink of an eye. He hovered in the air and circled around the foot of the mountain. Finally, he stopped at the east side of the mountain. The concealment formation set up by Governor Lu is still here. This means no one has come here since he discovered this place. Duan Lingtian muttered to himself as he extended his divine consciousness and looked at the dense forest at the foot of the mountain. Swoosh! Almost as soon as Duan Lingtian finished speaking, his body moved as though he had transformed into a gust of wind that blew toward the dense forest that his eyes were locked on. When his body came into contact with the dense forest, he was not obstructed at all. In fact, it was as though he knew how to pass through walls. He passed through the dense forest without leaving any traces behind. It was as though the dense forest had swallowed him whole. The dense forest was still the same. From the outside, one would not be able to see any changes. The dense forest was created by the concealment formation Lu Fenggu, the city governor of Bloody Spectre City, had left behind. Duan Lingtian, who had seen through the concealment formation, could pass through it as though he was walking through air. After passing through the dense forest that was transformed from the concealment formation, Duan Lingtian entered a cave at the foot of the mountain. Everything that entered his eyes was pitch black, and the place he stepped on was filled with potholes. There were also many puddles with a foul stench. Whoosh! When Duan Lingtian circulated his celestial origin energy, he seemed to have transformed into a dazzling sun that illuminated the entire cave. Bang! When Duan Lingtian raised his hand, a palm seal formed from his celestial origin energy shot out and landed on the wall of the cave. Boom! Boom! Rumble! When Duan Lingtian's palm landed on one side of the cave wall, the wall suddenly collapsed, revealing a deep passageway that led to an unknown destination. It was like a mysterious giant beast with its mouth wide open, waiting for food to come to it. According to City Governor Lu, this passage leads to the depths of the ground. I can see the celestial fire in the depths of the ground. Duan Lingtian's eyes flashed as he entered the passage. Immediately, the originally pitch-black passageway became brighter. At this moment, Duan Lingtian was like an extra-large luminous pearl that could illuminate the darkness. Duan Lingtian did not encounter any obstacles as he walked along the passage. After all, the celestial fire was not placed there by someone. Therefore, there were no tests left behind. Duan Lingtian walked down the passage. After about half an hour, he finally arrived at the end of the passage. We're here. Looking at the dusky light at the end of the tunnel, Duan Lingtian's eyes suddenly lit up. They were like two bright stars in the night sky, incomparably gorgeous. Duan Lingtian had heard from the city lord of Bloody Spectre City, Lu Fenggu, that the city lord of Bloody Spectre City had told him about the Blood Spectre City. The immortal fire here was gray in color. As for whether it was a celestial fire that could be used to refine pills or forge weapons, he was not sure. Bang! Seeing the gray flames at the end of the tunnel and realizing that he had arrived at his destination, Duan Lingtian suddenly exerted force in his legs and stomped on the ground. In the blink of an eye, he had already left the tunnel under his feet. After leaving the passage, Duan Lingtian found himself in a huge cave. In this spacious cavern, there were all sorts of crushed stones suspended in the air by a mysterious force. Moreover, these crushed stones were of different sizes. The small ones were only the size of a grain of rice, while the big ones were the size of a bed. The crushed stones that were the size of a grain of rice were more like a grain of sand. Sand and stones were flying everywhere. This was the first thought that appeared in Duan Lingtian's mind as soon as he entered the cavern. This place was like a world of flying sand and stones. That's a celestial fire? At the same time, Duan Lingtian's gaze pierced through the flying sand and stones in the cavern and landed on a ball of gray flame that was suspended in the air in the middle of the cavern. As soon as his gaze landed on it, it was difficult for him to look away. This was Duan Lingtian's first time seeing a flame of this color. The gray flame hovered in the air like the core of the entire cave. The sand and rocks in the cave also revolved around it, forming a cycle that could be followed. Moreover, at this moment, when Duan Lingtian's gaze landed on the gray flame, it was as though his gaze had sunk into a quagmire. There seemed to be an inexplicable attraction on the gray flame that caused Duan Lingtian's consciousness to sink into it, making it difficult for him to extricate himself. It was not until the defective metal piece beside Duan Lingtian's soul shone brightly and shrouded his soul that he finally regained his senses in shock. His gaze also left the gray flame. This celestial fire is really strange. After he shifted his gaze away from the gray flame, Duan Lingtian could not help but gasp. Earlier, if the defective metal piece on the side of his soul had not shone brightly, it was as though a bucket of cold water had been poured on him. Perhaps he would never be able to extricate himself from the gray flame. Before I came here, I didn't hear from City Governor Lu that the celestial fire can trap one's consciousness. Duan Lingtian thought to himself. It was precisely because Lu Fenggu had not mentioned this to him that he was caught off guard when he looked at the celestial fire. As a result, he was unable to extricate himself from it. I don't think City Governor Lu knew this would happen. Perhaps it's because my soul isn't strong enough that I'm in danger of being trapped in the celestial fire. After all, my soul is only at the level of a yellow sun golden celestial, far from City Governor Lu's level when he first discovered the celestial fire. Duan Lingtian trusted Lu Fenggu's character. For this reason, he did not suspect Lu Fenggu had intentionally concealed this matter from him. Instead, he guessed it had something to do with his soul. In fact, Duan Lingtian was right. Indeed, the reason he was in such a predicament was because his soul was too weak. According to City Governor Lu, if one tries to get close to the celestial fire, they'll definitely be attacked by the sand and rocks in the cave. At that time, City Governor Lu had no choice but to return empty-handed because he couldn't break through the sand and rocks. Unknowingly, Duan Lingtian's eyes were trained on the sand and rocks that surrounded the gray celestial fire. The sand and pebbles circled the celestial fire in an orderly manner, forming a cycle that could be followed. It was like a guardian deity that was guarding the celestial fire dutifully. All of a sudden, Duan Lingtian's eyes turned cold without any warning. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. The sound of sword whistling in the air rang in the air. Duan Lingtian had used all the techniques he had at his disposal. With just a thought, he activated the Devata artifact, the Seven Orifices exquisite sword, and formed a dazzling seven-colored sword formation. As soon as the seven-colored sword formation appeared, it shrouded Duan Lingtian and brought him toward the gray celestial fire at an extremely fast speed. With the celestial fire in front of him, Duan Lingtian did not waste any time. He used all his strength to obtain the celestial fire. Before he left Bloody Spectre City, he had asked Lu Fenggu about the method to obtain the celestial fire. For this reason, Lu Fenggu had given him a memory celestial talisman that contained information about the method to obtain the celestial fire. In order to obtain the celestial fire, apart from suppressing it with one's attacks, one must also communicate with it with one's divine consciousness. When the celestial fire is completely suppressed, one must communicate with it using one's divine consciousness to tame it. After all, it doesn't have complete intelligence. It's still unenlightened. When Duanling Tian controlled the seven-color sword formation, he seemed to have transformed into a ghost as he charged toward the gray flame. This was the celestial fire that Duanling Tian had come for. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. When Duanling Tian charged toward the gray celestial fire with the seven-colored sword formation, the sand and pebbles that were circling the seven-colored sword formation suddenly became restless. The sand that filled the sky bore the brunt of the impact. It was as though it had transformed into a sandstorm that swept towards Duanling Tian. The sandstorm obstructed Duanling Tian's vision. All he could see was the sand and pebbles. Moreover, Duanling Tian could clearly sense a powerful attack coming from the sandstorm. It was so powerful that it was comparable to Zhou Tong, the former first revered elder of the county governor's estate in the Nine Spectres County, when he unleashed his full strength. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. While Duanling Tian was being attacked by the sandstorm, a deafening sound rang in the air. Initially, Duanling Tian could only hear the sound. However, after a while, he could clearly see the sandstorm. In the sandstorm in front of him, he could vaguely see pieces of rocks, big and small, like meteorites falling from space, whizzing toward him together with the sandstorm. Their speed was even faster than the sandstorm. This attack is even more powerful than Zhou Tong's attack. Chapter 2660. Boom, 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 boom. In just a blink of an eye, the seven-colored sword ray that was flying with Duanling Tian was the first to collide with a pile of meteorite-like rocks that were flying toward them. The commotion was so great that it seemed to shake the heavens and earth. Boom, rumble. Waves of rolling air waves accompanied by powerful shock waves swept out and slammed into the surroundings of the cave, causing the entire cave to shake as if a violent earthquake had occurred. At this moment, Duanling Tian, who was shrouded by the seven-colored sword ray, was also shaken to the point his body trembled violently. He felt his internal organs churning as a sweet taste rose from the depths of his throat. Barf. Duanling Tian's body trembled violently a few more times before he spat out a mouthful of blood. His blood splattered across the sky. It was dazzling. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Just when Duanling Tian felt the vital energy and blood in his body churning and was about to spit out another mouthful of blood, the force of the sandstorm that was formed from the flying sand that filled the sky had arrived as well. It merged with the force of the rocks and whistled over once again. Boom, 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 boom. Another series of earth-shattering noises reverberated in the air. This time, the seven-colored sword formation around Duanling Tian's body dimmed from the impact. Moreover, the sword formation's radiance dimmed even more as the two forces continued to collide with each other. Bang, 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 bang. As the sword array dimmed, Duanling Tian's body was hit again and again. It was as though he had turned into a drum that was constantly being beaten. Barf, barf. Blood gushed out of Duanling Tian's mouth as though it was free. At the same time, the celestial origin energy in his body that was supporting the seven-colored sword formation was being depleted at an alarming rate. However, despite the rapid depletion of his celestial origin energy, the two forces that were attacking him were even more powerful. They continued to break down Duanling Tian's defenses. Based on the situation, it would not take long before the forces completely destroyed Duanling Tian's seven-colored sword array and landed on Duanling Tian. At that time, Duanling Tian would definitely die. After all, Duanling Tian's injuries were worsening. In the end, his consciousness began to blur. He could only rely on his steel-like will to maintain his consciousness as he numbly mobilized the celestial origin energy in his body that was dwindling. Although Duan Lingtian had been using the assist-type divine ability, the elementary devouring tactic, to rapidly absorb the heaven and earth spirit energy in his surroundings and convert it into celestial origin energy, he could not keep up with the celestial origin energy at all. Don't tell me. Duan Lingtian, am going to die here today? At this moment, Duan Lingtian's heart was filled with despair. At the same time, he felt completely disheartened. After all, even if he had unleashed his full strength and used the Devata artifact, the Seven Orifices exquisite sword, he still could not block the two forces that were attacking him. The combined force of the two forces was so powerful that it was beyond what he could endure. If I'd known this would happen, I wouldn't have been so careless. According to City Governor Liu, he was trying to slowly obtain the celestial fire when he was in the cavern. During that process, the blows he received became greater and greater. In the end, he felt that he was powerless and powerless, so he chose to give up. A bitter expression could be seen on Duan Lingtian's face when he thought about this. Lu Fenggu had clearly told him this before, but he did not pay much attention to it. He only wanted to use his full strength to resist the power protecting the celestial fire and obtain it as soon as possible. Now, he realized he had been careless. The price of carelessness was death. Moreover, he was getting closer and closer to death. What kind of celestial fire is this? If it's just a low-grade celestial fire, no matter how rare, and special it is, with my current strength, it's easy for me to obtain it. At this moment, Duan Lingtian realized the gray flame was not as simple as it seemed. He was certain that it was not just a primitive celestial fire. It was impossible for the gray flame to be a primitive celestial fire. The force protecting the primitive celestial fire was not strong enough to force him to such a state. Don't tell me I, Duan Lingtian, will have to pay for my carelessness and die here today? When the last bit of celestial origin energy in his body was depleted, Duan Lingtian felt a destructive force surging toward him. Despair and regret filled his heart. He regretted his carelessness. If God gave him a second chance, he would be as careful as Lu Fenggu had been in the past. Duan Lingtian, although you're not any weaker than an ordinary great overarching golden celestial, I hope you'll know your limits when you reach that place. If you can't, you can wait until you've become stronger before you try to obtain the celestial fire. He still remembered Lu Fenggu's words before he left Bloody Spectre City. However, he did not take it to heart at that time. He thought it would be easy for him to obtain the celestial fire since he possessed strength comparable to a great overarching golden celestial and could even defeat Zhou Tong, the strongest revered elder in the county governor's estate. He did not expect he would fail miserably at such a crucial moment. Boom, 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 boom. This series of explosions rang in the air as the force of the flying sand and pebbles shrouded Duan Lingtian's body like a flash flood. He did not even have time to think before he lost consciousness. At the instant Duan Lingtian lost consciousness, the force of the flying sand and pebbles destroyed his robe before it landed on his naked body. It was as though it was going to blast him into pieces. At this critical juncture, Lin Fan's eyes widened. Whoosh! A faint mystic light rose from Duan Lingtian's body. The force of the flying sand and pebbles seemed to have encountered an indestructible barrier and gradually dissipated. In the end, the force of the flying sand and pebbles dissipated. Duan Lingtian, who was completely naked and unconscious, should have fallen to the ground. However, at this moment, Duan Lingtian, who was shrouded in a mysterious mystic light, stood there with his eyes closed. He turned his body slightly to face the gray flame hovering in the middle of the cave. Whoosh! The sound of wind whistling in the air could be heard as a piece of metal that seemed to be badly damaged appeared above Duan Lingtian, who was still standing with the support of the profound light that was shrouding him. A layer of mystic light shone from the incomplete piece of metal. It was similar to the mystic light that rose from Duan Lingtian's body when he was unconscious. Clearly, Duan Lingtian's current condition had something to do with the incomplete piece of metal. If Duan Lingtian was still awake and saw this scene, he would surely go pale with fright. Wasn't this incomplete piece of metal the one that had been guarding his soul ever since he ascended to the spirit overarching heaven? He had brought the incomplete piece of metal from the mundane realm. Its origin was mysterious. Moreover, it was a fusion of two items. One of them was the jade token given to him by Xiajie, Ker's third uncle from the divine offering land. The other item was the strange stone he had found near his hometown, Fresh Breeze Town, on Cloud Continent. Chaos Divine Flame. I didn't expect to meet an old friend like you here. A loud and vigorous voice suddenly resounded in the cave. It seemed to come from all directions like a sudden clap of thunder. When the voice resonated in the air, the profound light on the defective metal piece above the unconscious Duanling Tian's head began to shine brighter and brighter. When the loud and energetic voice finally stopped, the mystic light finally returned to normal. Profound divine metal. As an old voice resonated in the air, the gray flame that was hovering in the middle of the cavern suddenly soared. The gray flame illuminated the entire cavern, causing Duanling Tian's figure to appear indistinctly. This was because Duanling Tian was currently unconscious. Otherwise, he would have been shocked. This was because the two voices that suddenly resounded in the cave came from the incomplete metal piece and the ball of gray flames. It seemed like the two of them were communicating with words. Moreover, it's a profound divine metal in its second form. Is this young man your host? The gray flame, which was called the primal chaos divine flame by the incomplete metal piece, soared. The old and aged voice that had sounded earlier also sounded once again. The voice filled the entire cave. That's right. The broken metal piece known as the profound divine gold radiated with a raging light. The loud and energetic voice that had sounded before rang out once again. If both of us didn't enter our second form, we wouldn't have been able to awaken and communicate with each other. What do you think? Are you interested in serving the same master as me? The profound divine metal asked again. Its voice was filled with temptation. Without waiting for the chaos divine flame's reply, Duanling Tian continued to say, if I'm not mistaken, before you transformed into your second form, you must have found a host as well. However, that host was unable to withstand your second form, and his body was incinerated by you. That's right. The chaos divine flame sighed. Ordinary celestials can't control my second form. Even your host's body can't do it. His current body isn't strong enough to control you in your second form. However, don't forget he still has me. The profound divine metal said, my consciousness can't be awakened for too long. It's up to you. If you're willing to serve the same master as me, I'll use my body to contain and restrain you so you won't burn his body to ashes. The profound divine metal continued to speak with a hint of urgency in its voice. Chapter 26:61. Upon hearing the profound divine metal's words, the chaos divine flame fell silent for a moment. If I'm not mistaken, your consciousness won't be awakened for long. Are you going to stay here and wait for the next host to appear? The profound divine metal continued to speak. Let's not talk about how long you'll have to wait for the next suitable host. Even if you manage to wait until the next host arrives, are you sure you won't be devoured and assimilated by the other hosts of the Chaos Divine Flame? Once you are devoured and assimilated, your consciousness will be replaced by the consciousness of the other primal Chaos Divine Flames. You might even be annihilated completely. Is that what you want to see? I know the Chaos Divine Flame is arrogant and doesn't want to serve the same host as the other 5 divine elements. However, is the profound divine metal not arrogant as well? If I'm not worried I'll be devoured and assimilated by the other profound divine metal hosts, do you think I'll persuade you to serve the same host as me? As long as the two of us serve the same host, we won't have to worry about being devoured and assimilated by the third form profound divine metal or the third form chaos divine flame hosts. In fact, we can easily devour and assimilate the second form profound divine metal and the second form chaos divine flame. The profound divine metal's voice grew softer and softer as it spoke. Think about it yourself. My consciousness is about to fall asleep. The profound divine metal's voice grew softer and softer before it finally disappeared. After that, The profound divine metal that was hovering above Duan Lingtian's head dimmed before it turned into a streak of light and entered Duan Lingtian's body. In the next moment, the profound divine metal that was hovering above Duan Lingtian's body gradually faded away. Bang! After the profound divine metal withdrew its profound divine metal, Duan Lingtian, who was unconscious, fell to the ground with a dull thud. After Duan Lingtian fell to the ground, the gray flame that was hovering in the middle of the cavern rose and rose a few times before it let out a long sigh. Forget it. It has a point. As soon as the old voice fell, the gray flame in the middle of the cavern turned into a streak of gray lightning and shot toward Duan Lingtian, who was unconscious on the ground before it merged with Duan Lingtian's body. For a time, Duan Lingtian was the only one left in the cavern. As for the sand and pebbles in the cave, they disappeared as soon as the gray flame, the chaos divine flame, entered Duan Lingtian's body. It was as though they were never there in the first place. The cavern was silent. Time passed. About a day and a night later, Duan Lingtian, who seemed to have fallen asleep, finally stirred. Ugh! In his half-asleep state, Duan Lingtian regained his consciousness. Although it was a little blurry, he could not help but feel excited. I'm not dead. I'm not dead. However, when he opened his eyes and looked at his surroundings, his expression changed. So, I'm dreaming. A bitter smile appeared on Duan Lingtian's face when his expression changed. His heart was filled with disappointment. The reason he felt like he was dreaming was because when he woke up, apart from the fact that he was still in the cavern, he also noticed that the sand and pebbles in the cavern had disappeared. In particular, the gray flame was nowhere to be seen. He could clearly remember. Before he lost consciousness, he could not resist the power of the sand and pebbles no matter how hard he tried. In the end, he was shrouded by the power of the sand and pebbles. As for what happened after that, he couldn't remember. However, he felt like he was going to die at that time. Now that he had regained consciousness and thought he was still alive, he realized the gray flame was gone. The sand and pebbles were gone as well. What did this mean? Other than that he was dreaming, it did not seem to mean anything else. Just when Duan Lingtian thought he was dreaming and felt a little disappointed, he suddenly sensed something. His heart skipped a beat, and he could not help but feel goosebumps all over his body. This was because he could clearly feel that his soul was burning. His soul suddenly felt like it was being burned, as if it was being refined by flames. When Duan Lingtian looked inside his body, he could not help but be stunned. He could clearly see that, on the side of his soul, wisps of gray flames were constantly emitting from the dimly lit defective metal piece. Although the flames were small, they contained a destructive aura that seemed to be able to burn and destroy everything. In addition, the wisps of gray flames that emerged from the incomplete metal piece and the aura that was inadvertently revealed by the flames gave him a very familiar feeling. This aura, isn't it from the gray celestial fire from before? While Duan Lingtian's emotions surged, he could not help but gasp. At this moment, he was 100% certain. The gray flame that was emitting from the defective metal piece that was hovering on the side of his soul was no different from the celestial fire he wanted to obtain before he fainted. The ball of flame in this cave is gone, and now, the same flame has emerged from this damaged piece of metal on the side of my soul. Is this not a dream? Am I really not dead? But, if I didn't die, why would that ball of flame be in that defective piece of metal? Duan Lingtian had too many questions in his heart. In his bewilderment, Duan Lingtian extended his hand towards his cheek. Although the distance between Duan Lingtian's hand and his cheek was very close, at this moment, it seemed very far away to Duan Lingtian. His hand trembled as it moved closer to his cheek. 10 breaths had passed, but he still had not touched his cheek. If someone were to look at Duan Lingtian's hand, they would be able to see that his hand was trembling. Duan Lingtian's hand was trembling, and it was trembling violently. If this isn't a dream, then everyone's happy. However, if this is a dream, then, am I really dead? At this moment, Duan Lingtian did not dare to face the truth. He was worried he was really dreaming. Gasp. In the end, Duan Lingtian took a deep breath, and his trembling hand suddenly tensed up. He directly extended his hand to the side of his cheek and pinched it. Duan Ling Tian's expression tensed up as a hint of nervousness appeared in his eyes when he felt the pain on his face. He raised an eyebrow as a smile of joy appeared on his face. It was as though he had just survived a calamity. The pain on his face seemed to be telling him that he was not dreaming. He wasn't dreaming. This isn't a dream. I'm not dreaming. I'm not dead. I'm really not dead. After confirming he was not dead, Duan Lingtian was as excited as a child. The word ecstatic was not enough to describe how he felt at this moment. This feeling of surviving a calamity made him feel as if he had been reborn once again. Approximately 15 minutes later, Duan Lingtian's excited mood gradually calmed down. I thought I was going to die and lost consciousness. When I woke up, the celestial fire appeared in the defective metal piece on the side of my soul. The celestial fire that was protecting the celestial fire had also disappeared. I'm certain I didn't take the celestial fire. At that time, it was difficult for me to even protect myself, let alone take the celestial fire. However, I'm not dead. The celestial fire is indeed in the defective metal piece. After calming down, Duan Lingtian became unusually calm. After a while, he came to a conclusion. The defective metal piece had something to do with his survival and the appearance of the celestial fire in his body. What's this defective metal piece? Although Duan Lingtian knew the defective metal piece on the side of his soul that could be used as a soul defense celestial weapon was not ordinary, he did not know what it was or what it could be used for apart from protecting his soul. And today, he discovered the use of this defective piece of iron. It could be used to take the celestial fire. Furthermore, in the process of collecting the immortal fire, it seemed to be able to protect him and save his life when the power of the immortal fire was about to kill him. You. What are you? Unknowingly, Duan Lingtian's attention was completely concentrated on the defective metal piece. The damaged metal piece had once again displayed its mysteries before him. The defective metal piece is the result of the fusion of that strange stone and the jade token given to me by Ku-er's third uncle, Xiajie, a powerhouse from the divine offering land. I brought it from the mundane realm to the Devata realm. After I brought it to the Devata realm, it stayed by my soul to protect my soul. Back then, when Xiajie gave me that jade slip, he only said that the jade slip was very extraordinary. As for its origin, he didn't know. The strangest thing is that after I brought the jade token to my hometown in the mundane realm, the mortal continent's cloud continent, it actually guided me to Fresh Breeze Town, the place where I reincarnated into this life. I found that strange stone near Fresh Breeze Town. Then, the strange stone merged with the jade token given to me by Xiajie and turned into this mysterious defective metal piece. What's the origin of the jade token given to me by Xiajie? And that stone, why is it near Fresh Breeze Town? Is it a coincidence? If it's a coincidence, it's too much of a coincidence, right? Duan Lingtian discovered the more he thought about it, the more confused he became. His confusion seemed endless. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.